A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gutter, the prison, or the grave. This started with a terrified woman lost in a maze of memories she couldn't explain. And waiting for her outside an open window was death.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with our star, Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Open Window.
California's a year-round kind of place, where each day blends into the next with a sort of sunny indifference. But the one just passed has been a little special. It was the cool, crisp autumn weather that reminded you of the East, where autumn meant kicking your way through knee-deep drifts of brown and yellow leaves, along a rutted country road that hinted at adventure at every turn. Yeah, that's the kind of a day it had been. But now, at a little past 8, as I stood at the window of my third-floor apartment, and stared out over enough improved Los Angeles real estate to house maybe 500,000 people that tonight I wanted no part of, because the world was out there minding everybody else's business, while I was in here minding my own. In here, everything was in order and cozy. I could read if I want to, write a letter if I want to, or just relax with... Oh, no.
Is your name Philip Marlowe?
Yeah, why?
Because I had that name and this address written here on this card. I think I was supposed to see you. Do you know me?
Well, no, frankly, I don't. What were you supposed to see me about?
Who are you, Mr. Marlowe? I mean, what sort of business?
I'm a private detective.
Private detective?
Wait a minute. It's not that bad a racket. Oh, now, look. Why don't you come in and we'll talk this over, huh? Come on.
All right. Thank you.
There. Sit down, won't you? You look like you can use a drink. Do you want one?
No, thank you. I just need to rest a moment.
Oh.
I've been walking for hours.
Well, now, tell me, what is it?
A man, I think. Someone's been following me. I was followed here, I'm sure. I don't know why.
Really?
This is Los Angeles, California, isn't it?
Yeah.
I keep thinking... That is, I feel as though it should be Vancouver, British Columbia.
Oh?
I don't know how I got here or why I want to see you, but I've walked until I'm nearly exhausted, and I found that I'd written your name and address on this card here, so I decided to come and try to find out.
Well, now tell me, do you know who you are?
No, I don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm. This man you're afraid of, do you know him?
No. But I believe he knew me. He reminded me of Vancouver, and that frightened me. I seem to remember I saw him a year ago. Maybe it was just the day before yesterday. See how crazy that sounds. But I can't help it. I can't remember.
Yeah, take it easy. Now, you better lie down on the divan. That's it. Come on. Atta girl. Look, I think we ought to call a hospital and see it. Stay where you are. It's company in the hall, maybe for us. Now, just take it easy. Hey, you, hold it. Hold it up there. Oh, great.
Who was it, Mr. Marlowe?
I couldn't see. Don't let it bother you now, honey. It's probably just one of my clumsy neighbors. He never watches where he's going. You know, the other night...
Stop, please.
All right.
Whoever was out there was looking for me. I know he was. I know it.
Now, look, honey. Isn't there something you can tell me? Don't you remember anything?
No, I don't know. Here, look in my purse. There are things in it I don't understand. Maybe there'll be some help.
Key. Address on a piece of brown paper. 8400 North Virgil. Tompkins. Does that mean anything to you?
No.
A little snapshot album with one of the pictures missing.
Wait a minute. remember now. That was stolen.
Good.
But I don't remember what the picture was. Oh, please try to find out who I am and why I'm being followed. Please try to find out why I'm afraid.
All right, baby. Now, you stay here till I get back, huh?
I won't bother anything. I'll wait right here. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
I figured what she needed most was rest, and she was getting that fast, so I dropped the items from her purse into my pocket, snapped the lock on my apartment door, and left. My first stop was the phone downstairs in the lobby, where I found out that the Missing Persons Bureau had no one on file answering her description. My next stop was 8400 North Virgil. A half hour later, I found it. A crumbling stucco rooming house in a welter of knobby hills, huddled with other ramshackle houses that years ago had abandoned any hope of beauty. In the face of the leaky, bobbing oil wells that had invaded the neighborhood like a horde of huge, greasy grasshoppers. I walked past one of the creaking monsters in the front yard, then down a grimy hall to a door marked Manager Jacob Philpotts, below which some neighborhood wag had penciled Sphinx. Wasn't funny. But neither was Jake Philpotts.
Yeah. What is this? Speak up, Sporty. I'm very busy killing a soldier. What's on your mind besides your hat?
Okay, comic, I want to see Tompkins.
Oh, you want to see Tompkins?
That's what I said.
Well, you're too late, Sporty. He's gone. Flew the coop. Took the 500 berries and shoved off 2 hours ago.
For where?
Well, for his hometown, I guess. Vancouver. It's way up in Canada. Which is a long walk, Sporty, so you better get started. Bye.
Wait a minute, Jake.
Huh?
Where did Tompkins get the 500?
Where'd he get? Well, some classy guy gave it to him.
Classy guy. Huh? Why?
Well, to get out of town and stay out. So he does.
Uh-huh.
But first he pays back all his back rent and buys me a bottle besides. Wasn't that sweet of him?
That stuff over there?
Yeah.
Must have hated you. Who was the classy guy? Why do you want Tompkins out of town?
Why do I Tompkins? Well, how do I know? What am I, an encyclopedia? Hey, look, Nosy, my whiskey's getting cold, so why don't you run along?
I want to know who the guy was, and I want it now.
Oh, so you're going to stop pushing, huh? You want to fight, huh? Okay, put him up. Come on.
Take it easy, Buster.
Put him
Take it
up.
easy. You'll beat yourself to death. Now, let's negotiate.
Huh?
Prop up against the wall, and I'll talk to you. What about a price for another bottle of that stuff?
I wouldn't. I just another bottle?
That's what I said.
Oh, well, that's different. That's really nice of you, Sporty.
Not really, kid. I'm trying to poison you. Now, what was Tompkins' racket?
Oh, gardener, carpenter, handyman. Nothing much. What else?
Who was the classy guy that bought him off?
Let's see. I had his name right on the tip of my tongue a minute ago. Red-headed, flashy dresser, had a sort of a... Palmer.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, that's it. Palmerlin.
Very good. Now, one more. Where can I find him?
Well, he said something about running the pearls. You got it?
Yeah, it's a dive on Highland. Thanks, Philpotts.
Oh, but don't thank me, Sporty. You bought it, remember? This brand comes to $7.50 with tax.
Don't kid an old kid or Jake. You can squeeze that junk out of sour potatoes. Here's
Sour
a tin.
potatoes?
And have a happy hangover. Outside, the smell of the oil well as I passed it was welcome by comparison to Jake, which made it tough to reconcile anything I'd seen at 8400 North Virgil with the girl asleep on the divan in my apartment. As I drove back to Hollywood, then down Highland Avenue, the night was still strangely quiet. Everything seemed to come in whispers. Even the hunch I had that the vanishing Mr. Tompkins had sold out dirt cheap to the boss of the pearls. Near 3rd Street, I spotted the place, parked a ways beyond it, and walked back. It was one of those dumps that dealt in bad bar whiskey. Second-rate bop and a lot of darkness. I shook off a brace of lost weekenders on my way through. Made it up the stairs to the offices where a block of orange light on the floor and a two-tone conversation told me to stop, look, and listen.
Time, baby.
Alan, as they say in Missouri.
Have to show you, huh?
Uh-huh.
All right, Norma, I will. You're not easy to get over. I still love you, and I've missed you. So when you dropped me for your stuffy broker friend, I did a little checking up, and I found out plenty.
About Cooper?
About Cooper Gerard.
I don't believe you.
Oh, but you should, honey. You see, Norma, it's not about him specifically, but about a woman. A woman who's all wrong, who spells trouble this deep, and I can prove it. I went to work on it tonight, and things are going to be different from now on.
Buddy, I want to
Get out of here. Get out of here. Go on.
Now, wait a minute. All I want to know is
I said beat it, and I meant... Never mind, Buster. It doesn't matter anymore. My presence is now known.
Come on in, Junior. You can hear better inside.
I doubt it. I'll inhibit the performers. But thanks anyway.
Buddy, all I want to know
Try
is...
the end of the hall, then left. It's usually there.
Okay, thanks. That's all I want to know. Hello.
Hello.
What do you want, mister? Make it snappy.
Okay. Why'd you pay Tompkins to leave town tonight?
Tompkins? Who are you?
Marlowe, going to answer the question, Parmalee?
Why, certainly. I didn't pay him to leave town. I paid him for some work, carpenter work. Why?
What's the matter, Alan? Feel the whip handle slipping?
Not a bit, baby. Look, why don't you run along now? I'll call you later. Oh, here's your cigarette case.
My cigarette case?
Yeah. Take it with you. We'll get in touch later.
Okay, Alan. Good night, Marlowe.
Good night, Miss,
Picasso. Not that it'll do you any good, Junior.
That's a cute kid. Smart, too.
All right. Why are you interested in Tompkins?
There's a certain lady's interested.
And the lady's name?
None of your business.
Okay. Go on.
Miss Key. What door does it fit, Parmalee?
How should I know? Have you got anything else?
Isn't that enough?
Not enough to worry about, Marlowe, so I suggest that you leave. And in case you have any doubts, this thing goes off awful easy.
I see your point.
Yeah. And I'd just as soon shoot his nut, so start down those stairs and don't look back. I bust for a couple of the boys. They'll be at the bottom. They'll help you out the front door. Oh, and Marlowe, take some advice. I don't like your type, so don't come back.
Boys escorted me politely as far as the sidewalk and gave me a send-off that plowed me into the gutter. It's my own fault letting Parmalee get the drop on me, but he was farther ahead of me than I figured. In fact, I was lucky all I got was the bounce. I limped back to my car, got in and started home, but something about the trio of Norma Lacasso, Parmalee, and a broker named Gerard was off-center. And Gerard's connections were too strong to pass up. So I decided to let the pale woman asleep in my apartment go right on sleeping while I stopped at a phone booth. Found only one Cooper Gerard listed, and he had 8112 North Orange Drive. It was a lonely house up in the Hollywood Hills. I tried the bell and got no answer. But I knew he was there. I slipped the enigmatic key out of my pocket and listened to the music coming from inside. I stuck it in the lock. I turned, just as the footsteps inside, so I pulled it out fast and let the party on the other side of the door do the honors.
What is it?
You're Mr. Gerard?
Yes, I'm Cooper Gerard. What is it?
I'd like to come in and talk to you. My name's Marlowe. I'm a private detective. I've got a key that fits your front door, plus a little photo album full of a girl. Here.
Why, that's Margaret's album and her key. You found her. Where is she? What's happened to her?
She's safe.
Come in the upper room.
Right. So her name's Margaret, huh? Margaret what?
Vesey. Margaret Vesey. But where is she? I've been frantic. I just called the police. She left the house this morning and didn't come back. It's late now, and in her condition, I'm afraid that
What is Margaret's condition, Mr. Gerard?
She was injured in an auto accident a year ago last July, up near Vancouver. It affected her mind. Oh, but please, where is she?
Just a minute. There are some questions that I'd like answered first. Exactly what is Margaret Vesey to you?
Well, until July 9th, 1948, when that horrible accident happened, nothing. Merely a hitchhiker. My wife and I were motoring back from a vacation in Canada. We picked Miss Vesey up on the road. In the accident, Grace, my wife, was killed. Miss Vesey seriously injured. All I knew about her was that she was alone in the world, so there was no one to help her. Well, since I was driving the car, I assumed that responsibility. It was the least I could do. I stayed with her in Vancouver until she'd partially recovered and then brought her here. She's been with me ever since. Now, will you please take me to her?
But the story doesn't end there.
What do you mean?
Margaret Vesey's in trouble and she's scared. What do you know about a man named Tompkins, for instance?
Why? Nothing. I don't know any Tompkins.
You do know a Norma Lacasso, don't you?
Norma? Of course. Miss Picasso and I are quite good friends.
Mm-hmm. What about Alan Parmalee?
Heard of him. He runs a nightclub, I believe.
That's right. Now tell me, can you tell me why a third picture is missing in the album?
What's that? Let me see. This is very strange. Margaret cherishes every picture in this album.
She thinks that one was stolen. Any idea what the picture was?
No. I can't imagine why it was stolen. All the pictures were simple, harmless snapshots. I can't remember the one that's missing, but... Marlowe, what does all this mean? What's it all about?
Well, as near as I can tell, there's some kind of nasty shakedown brewing. I don't know how or why, but Alan Parmalee's behind it, and Margaret Vesey's caught in the middle, so it involves you, too. Come on, let's go get her. She's asleep in my place.
You didn't leave her alone.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, You shouldn't have done that. Couldn't you tell from her mental state that she isn't responsible? For 2 days she's been moody. She's been talking about suicide. She might... Marlowe, if anything's happened...
Come on, Gerard, let's travel.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, by the time you've listened to Johnny Dollar, Philip Marlowe, Gangbusters, and Escape in the CBS All-Star Saturday Night lineup, you may be for some sleuthing of your own. So try it with Sing It Again and the Phantom Voice. Don't always let the other guy or gal solve the mystery. Try it yourself with Sing It Again on most of these same CBS stations every Saturday night.
Tune in this fall for the shows that you love best of all.
Listen carefully.
Here's the address. It's CBS.
Now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Open Window.
It took 10 minutes to get from Gerard's house to my place. I knew because he reminded me of each one as it passed. But when we turned onto Franklin, where we could see my apartment house, the word hurry stuck in his throat. An ambulance was pulling away from a tight knot of people standing on the concrete driveway beside the building. And 3 floors above them, glowing like a single ugly, unblinking eye, was the window of my own apartment wide open. Even before I could stop the car, Gerard was out and running toward the crowd.
Listen, that ambulance. The woman, mister, was terrible.
She fell out of that open window up there.
Did you see it?
No, nobody saw it happen.
Yeah, it's bad, brother. They say she'd been laying here on the concrete for at least a half hour before anybody got to her.
It's been so quiet around here tonight. I'm surprised.
Tell me, was she dead?
Just about. They don't give her a chance.
Come on, Gerard, let's go upstairs.
The police are up there now. They're trying to find out.
You say the woman came here to your apartment, Mr. Marlowe, and asked you for help. Is that right?
That's right, officer. She was frightened and exhausted. When I left, she was asleep on the divan there.
Was the door locked, Marlowe?
Yeah, it's got a nightlight, Gerard. I snapped it myself.
And you left her alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, take a look around, will you? See if you can find anything to indicate that an outsider came in while you were gone.
What makes you think there was an outsider here?
Because I don't think she fell.
Margaret was in mental turmoil, officer. She's been despondent. It's possible that she jumped.
Yeah? How many people have you heard of that jumped out of a window backwards, mister? I think she was pushed.
Pushed?
Yeah. Come here, both of you. I want to show you something.
He went over to the window and pointed at 5 scratches where fingernails had clawed the paint off the casing. The one that had to be made by her thumb was the lowest. It was true. She'd gone out backwards. As the officer explained that to Gerard, I stared down at the dwindling knot of people 3 stories below. Then up again at the 5 jagged scars ripped deep by a terrified woman's nails. Stared at them until they screamed at me, as a sick mind must have screamed when she fell.
Now, Mr. Marlowe, what about this cigarette stub with lipstick on it?
Cigarette stub? Hey, that's exactly what I'd like to know. Gerard, where does Norma live?
Why, at the Hillcrest Apartments on Sunset. But surely...
Never mind what I think. You go to the hospital and find out about Margaret. I'm going to pay a call on Norma Lacasso right now. She's the type to be jealous enough to...
Marlowe, listen, you're making a mistake. That cigarette stub must be Margaret's because Norma doesn't smoke.
What? Norma doesn't smoke. What about the cigarette case? Hey, Buster, you better check with Lieutenant Matthews at Homicide. I'll see you later.
Hey, come back here, Marlowe.
The Hillcrest Apartments fit Norma Lacasso to a T. They were sleek, soft tones of burnished wood, streamlined in glass, and just enough chrome around for glitter. And when she answered a door in glossy green lounging pajamas edged in gold, smiled and tossed a head of hair that was almost burgundy back from her face, I knew what Alan Parmalee meant. Loving Norma Lacasso would be hard to get over.
Hello, Junior. Don't tell me you're joining the league, too. It's fast, you know.
Skip it, baby. I'm coming in. Do you mind?
No. Would it do any good?
Mm-mm.
Get comfortable. I'll mix you a drink or something.
Hey, Norma, you know Margaret Vesey, don't you?
That peculiar girl that stays at Gerard's place? Yeah, I met her once.
A little while ago, she dropped 3 floors from an open window to a slab of concrete.
Oh.
Lay there over 30 minutes before she was found.
Oh, Marlowe, that's dreadful. I'm sorry. Don't look at me like that. I mean it. I like Margaret.
So do I. What's more, she didn't fall. She was pushed.
Oh.
Got a cigarette?
Sure. Here. Catch.
Thanks. Oh, just one cigarette tossed like that? Your manners are lousy. You're supposed to pass the kiss and let the guest help himself.
Marlowe, you're hurting.
Now, Gotta keep right on twisting until that solid gold cigarette case drops.
That's what I adore about men. They're fools.
That's better.
Rilla. All right, to help yourself. The picture's there under the bottom layer of cigarettes. But why it's important is beyond me.
It's important to Parmalee, baby. Had you smuggled out of his office so I couldn't find it. Ah. Margaret and Gerard at some little amusement park. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Near Vancouver, probably. Told me how he used to take her out while she was recovering from that accident. So what? Even the autographs ought to make no sense to me. Here, this one's hers.
Yeah, we had fun this day. This must be his, even the hottest day in Vancouver's history.
Now, that's it, Muscles, all of it. Now, will you apologize for these welts on my arm?
I don't get it. The whole deal's screwy. The only way it would make any sense is if... Norma, where's your phone book?
Over there under the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What have you got, Marlowe?
Just an idea so far. Stick around. This is the U.S. government. War assets, Weather Bureau. Climatological records, yeah. Mutual 64421.
Weather Bureau records.
Hello, listen, can you tell me what the hottest day on record in Vancouver has been? I mean the date. You have that information?
British Columbia?
Yeah.
Yes, we've got it here, I'm pretty sure. Just a minute.
What's that supposed to prove, Bob?
I'm not sure yet.
Yes, we've got it. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
The book says the hottest day up there was on July 3, 1948, when the temperature reached 92 degrees. Some heat record, huh? That's a nice place, Vancouver. I was up there one year.
Yeah, thanks, friend. The Weather Bureau has just lifted a cloud from a lady's mind. Hope you did it in time. So long.
You found out something big, didn't you?
The works. Well, aren't you going to pull a gun? They always do about here.
Not me. I've got concealed weapons.
You've also got dollar bills in your bloodstream instead of corpuscles. Mm-hmm. But you're smart, baby, so take a tip. Stick close to home. Don't even use the phone. You're a real nice, shiny item. I'd like to keep you that way.
Thanks. I'm going to take your word, Junior. But what does it mean?
Trouble. Just as soon as I can stir it up. Good night. From Norma's and the time that had gone by, I figured my best bet was Gerard's place, but I was wrong. It was deserted, so I took the next best, which was Alan Parmalee's The Pearls. It was well after 2 o'clock when I got there, and the club was closed, but the lights were on, the offices upstairs. I parked, slipped around to the back, and up a flight of iron stairs to a metal door at the top. I pressed my weight against it and very gently turned the knob. Then tugged softly, and it swung open without a sound. Voices in the same square of orange light on the floor said that Parmalee's office was open again. So I eased my gun into my hand and moved until I could see him. A pair of jackals coming to terms over the
I know
carcass
you're
of
a
a
little
fawn.
secret, Mr. Gerard. The proposition I'm offering you is perfectly fair.
What is it?
First, that you stop seeing Norma Lacasso. And I mean stop.
Go on.
Second, that you deliver $5,000 here to me by the end of the week. You must have got a lot of insurance on your wife, Gerard. Double indemnity, too. Am I asking too much?
Blackmail leaves me no alternative.
You're so right.
How did you find out that she's not Margaret Vesey?
Ha! A beautiful break. When you started seeing Miss Lacasa, I began checking up on you, and 2 days ago, that checking up led me to the strange woman you called Margaret Vesey and a character named Tompkins. Ever hear of him?
No.
An itinerant gardener was looking for work at your place. Also, Gerard, an itinerant gardener who knew your Margaret Vesey, who knew her as someone named Grace. And Grace Gerard, lest we forget, was your wife. When he called her Grace, it scared her. She couldn't open, but I could.
So I see. Where is this Tompkins now, Parmalee?
Oh, don't worry about him. I sent him away. He'll keep his mouth shut. He used to be a gardener on the wealthy side of Vancouver where your wife lived. Small world, eh?
Very small world.
Look up. Now, wait a minute, Gerard.
I'm going to kill you, Parmalee. I knew something like this would happen someday. My wife was getting her memory back. She was beginning to remember things, to realize that she wasn't really Margaret Vesey at all, that Margaret Vesey had died in the accident. And tonight, I pushed her out of an open window. Doctors practically assure me that she'll be dead by morning. She won't be missed, and neither will you, I'm sure.
Next one's for your belly, Gerard, if you move 1 inch. You, Parmalee, come around here. Wait for your desk. Come on.
This time I'm glad to see you, Marlowe. You're the lesser of two evils.
That's great. Well, it was a sweet story, fellas. Between you left out only one thing, the picture. You got it from the little album because you needed some tangible proof, didn't you, Parmalee? And it cinched the deal because the accident happened on the 9th of July. But Gerard here had his picture taken with a supposed hitchhiker on Vancouver's hottest day, which was July 3rd. 6 days before he claims to have met the girl.
Picture?
How'd you manage the master stroke, Gerard? The switch in identities in the first place? Come on, talk! What are you...
It was a mistake. Both Miss Vesey and my wife were in the car at the time of the accident. The car burned. Then, somehow or other, later at the hospital, Margaret Vesey, who died, was identified as my wife, Grace.
And since her memory was gone, you made the switch complete and called your wife Margaret Vesey and left it like that. You know, Gerard, I hope you make a break for it. Just once before we get to headquarters. Let's go. You too, Parmalee, move.
All right, but you'll have a hard time sticking me, Snoop. I haven't done anything.
Oh, yes, you have. Attempted extortion, and as of right now, you just incited a rat.
Dr. Gray to receiving ward, please. Dr. Gray.
She's in here, Mr. Marlowe.
Sure it's all right if I see her now, Doctor?
After what you've just told me, I think it's a good idea. Her condition has changed somewhat. She's responded better than I expected, but she can use some fighting spirit, some spunk. Maybe you can give her that. We can't.
I hope so.
And don't take too long, that's all.
Hello, Grace. I'm Philip Marlowe, remember me?
What? Yes, I think I do, Mr. Marlowe. Glad to see you.
Oh, good. I just stopped by to tell you that I have all the answers to those troublesome questions in your mind. You don't have to be afraid of them anymore. You got nothing to worry about now except getting well.
Thank you. Oh, hazy back there. I can't remember where I've been.
Now, you've been away, Grace, for a long time. But now you'll be going home soon to your friends. Believe that. I'll run along now and come back tomorrow when you're feeling better. We'll have a long talk then.
Wait. Who is Margaret Vesey?
Girl you knew once, briefly. And one I'll never forget. I went to sleep one night on my divan.
I don't remember.
You will. Don't think about it now. Just think about home in Vancouver. You'll be there soon, I promise.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. It's lovely in Vancouver.
Yeah. That's what the weatherman says. Good night, my dear. When I finally got home, the air in my apartment was thick, full of stagnant fear and stale tobacco smoke. So I went over the window to open it up. There I stopped because I remembered standing at that same window earlier that evening. Standing there thinking how happy I was that the world was out there. And how happy I was to be inside, looking out. Then I saw again the 5 deep scratches on the casing. Inside looking out, huh? There was a guy once, a long time ago, who said something like, "No man is an island entire of itself." Yeah, about 300 years ago he said that. Any man's death diminishes me because I'm involved in mankind. Yeah, sure.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Robert Mitchell and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Betty Lou Gerson, Ed Begley, Lillian Byatt, Paul Dubois, Jay Novello, and Harry Bartell. The special music is composed and conducted by Richard Oran. Be sure and be with us next week when Philip Marlowe says...
This time it was a wrestler on the skids, a quick change artist in an alley, and a girl with an eye for angles. All met destruction because 100,000 easy bucks caught him in a stranglehold, which none of them wanted to break.
Next time you're in the woods, make sure that cigarette butt, that match, or that campfire is completely out. Only you can prevent forest fires. This is Paul Masterson speaking. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sloan's Liniment, your faithful friend when muscles ache in pain, presents Gangbusters.
Calling the police, calling the G-men, calling all Americans to war on the underworld.
Gangbusters, brought to you, the men and women of America, by the makers of Sloan's Liniment. With the cooperation of leading law enforcement officials of the United States, Gangbusters presents facts in the relentless war of the police on the underworld. Authentic case histories that show the never-ending activity of the police in their work of protecting our citizens. America's crusade against crime. You, too, can help in our crusade. Here's a last-minute police bulletin.
Nationwide alarm. Attention all citizens. Watch for Clifford Davidson, 32, 5 feet 7 inches, 208 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes. This man, veteran criminal and escape artist, broke from jail, Wewoka, Oklahoma last week, where he is awaiting trial for murder, allegedly committed following a previous escape from prison. Caution, this man is dangerous.
Gangbusters urges you to be on the alert for this criminal. We will have more clues for you at the end of our program. In a moment, we'll be ready for our proxy interview between Colonel H. Norman Schwarzkopf and prosecuting attorney Stanley Wallach of St. Louis County, Missouri, who will discuss the strange case of the missing corpse in which a dead man convicted as murderer. But first, April showers, they say, bring May flowers, but they also bring the muscular aches and pains that often go with damp and windy weather. Yet there's no need for any member of your family to suffer the discomfort of a stiff neck or sore back, just so long as you have that handy bottle of dependable Sloan's Liniment on your medicine shelf. Here's Sloan's 1-2 heat treatment that has brought such quick and comforting relief to millions. 1, pat on some Sloan's Liniment. 2, relax for a few minutes. Then, like a heat treatment, Sloan's glowing warmth goes to work on that tight and painful spot. In almost no time at all, Sloan's will help soothe your pain away. You'll find Sloan's quick action is a welcome friend, whatever the cause of your muscular distress. Accident, overexertion, or exposure to raw and biting weather. Ask your druggist for Sloan's Liniment if you need a fresh supply after the last few wintry months. Sloan's costs so little, and you're so grateful for its soothing help when you want relief in a hurry. Now for our proxy interview between Colonel Schwarzkopf and prosecuting attorney Stanley Wallach of St. Louis County, Missouri. Picture our setting as a special office turned over to Gangbusters by Commissioner Louis J. Valentine of the New York City Police. Colonel Schwarzkopf.
The case of the missing corpse. Prosecutor Wallach, that sounds almost like fiction.
Tonight's case may appear fantastic, Colonel Schwarzkopf, but it is a matter of public record. This case concerns Elmer Dowling and Izzy Lundy, two crafty criminals whose viciousness has seldom been matched by any criminals anywhere. We begin in St. Louis one late afternoon in February 1938 in the hideout apartment maintained by Elmer Dowling.
Drink up, Lundy.
Thanks, darling.
I asked you up here to explain what I got in mind for you.
What do you mean?
I'm considering you as trigger man for my outfit.
Trigger man, huh?
Yeah. Next thing I consider is what's your experience.
I got plenty.
I got it all right here on my desk. Here on this case history card. Izzy Lundy, known as Monkey Years. Robberies and other jobs, Marquette prison 10 to 20 years. Shot way out of jail, handy with guns.
How'd you find out all that, darling?
That's my business, to find things out. And to get things done.
Why should I join your mob, huh?
Listen, Lundy. When I want a man in my mob, he joins.
But I've been away for 13 years. I've been out of things.
I'll teach you the ropes. Then you'll be a big asset to my protective organization.
Protective organization?
Yeah. For businessmen and storekeepers. They pay us so much dough per week for protection. Protection from our own gang.
But suppose the storekeepers squawk to the cops.
They know better than that. It's cheaper to pay up and shut up than to stop a bullet or get crippled for life.
Yeah. Sounds okay to me, Downing.
Lundy, before we're through, we'll have every store in the city in our protective organization. They're going to pay us, and they're going to pay plenty.
Morning, mister. You remember me?
What are you men back here again for?
Hey, listen, mister, this is your last chance. Are you joining our protective organization or ain't you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, boys. Dump that paint all over the place. Give them the works.
Right, no, stop it. Don't, please.
We're going to teach you a lesson, mister. And if you ever blab to the cops, you'll never see your wife or kids again. Go to it, boys. Don't answer that phone, buddy. My business comes first. You got the money for the organization?
I tell you, I can't pay you. I'm not taking enough money in my store.
You're trying to welch on the organization, huh? Well, I'll show you.
What are you going to do?
You know what's in this can?
No.
Acid.
No, don't.
It's all yours, mister. Right in your face.
Oh, my!
That's the dry cleaning store on the corner, Red. The one Dowling wants us to take care of.
I got the dynamite already, Lundy.
All right, drive by the store, and I'll light the fuse and heat it.
Hey, Lundy, there's a guy down the block.
Don't worry about the guy down the block. I'll light the fuse.
There! Step on it, Red. There!
Emergency squad, explosion in dry cleaning store at Franklin and Jefferson Avenues at 10 p.m. Investigate immediately. Repeating, explosion in dry cleaning store, Franklin and Jefferson Avenues.
An hour later, Colonel, at headquarters.
We got that report, Moore?
Yes, Captain. The emergency squad say dynamite was used to blow up that dry cleaning store.
Moore, we can be pretty certain who's back of this outbreak of violence. Racketeers extorting money from businessmen.
It's an ugly situation, Captain. We can't get witnesses to testify against these crooks.
Yes, crooks like Elmer Dowling.
Now we've got another bombing on our hands, and still no witness.
I'm assigning additional squads of plainclothesmen to cover various business places and stores and... Yes?
Captain, there's a man out here by the name of Louis Lee Baker. He wants to see you.
What about?
He says it's about the bombing of that dry cleaning store tonight.
The bombing? Send him right in.
Yes, Captain. Right away, sir.
Moore, open the door.
Yes, sir. Come right in, sir. The captain will see you.
Thank you, officer. How do, Captain? My name's Baker.
Glad to see you, Mr. Baker. Have a chair.
Thank you.
You say you know something about this bombing tonight?
Well, I don't know if this means anything, Captain, but I thought I ought to report it anyway.
Report what, sir?
Well, at 10 o'clock, I was walking along Franklin Avenue.
Yes?
And just as I was about to cross the street, a car came racing down the avenue.
What happened?
Well, there was an explosion. I didn't know then it was a bomb. Later, I got thinking about it, and the bomb and the speeding car.
What kind of a car was it?
It was a Chrysler sedan. I didn't see the license number, but I did get a good look at one of the men in the car.
Oh, is that so?
He was sort of pasty looking. Had very black eyebrows and big lips.
Anything else?
Well, the one thing I noticed most of all were his ears.
His ears?
Yes, sir. They stuck way out.
What's that?
Well, I never saw a man whose ears stuck out so much, sir.
Was he stockily built?
Yes, he was.
This means something to you, Moore?
I'm not sure yet, Captain. But I used to know a criminal who fitted that general description to a T. Monkey ears, they called him. If it's the same man, he's a gunman of the worst type.
All right. We'll have Mr. Baker go through the identification files. If he can pick out the picture of the same criminal you have in mind, we'll have our first positive identification to help smash this gang.
And the picture that Louis Lee Baker identified, Colonel, was the picture of Monkey Ears. Izzy Lundy. The authorities moved fast and arrested him in a few hours.
Good police work, Prosecutor Wallach.
Indicted for this bombing, Lundy posted bail and was released by the courts pending trial. He immediately phoned Dowling.
Yeah, Dowling, that's why I'm calling you. That Baker guy's identified me for the bombing of that dry cleaning store. I'll go to jail, I would.
Hold it, Lundy. Where are you calling from?
From a drugstore. I'm afraid to come near you. The cops are on my trail.
I thought so. Now, let me think.
This is serious, Dowling. You've got to help me.
Yeah, I know how serious it is. Once the cops throw you in jail, they'll probably get more information that'll lead to me.
You? I'm the guy that's in a jam.
Well, think of the spot I'm in. Hey, wait a minute. What did you say is the name of the guy who saw the bombing?
Baker. Louis Lee Baker.
Baker, eh? Is he the only witness the cops got?
Yeah.
You sure of that?
Positive.
Good.
What do you mean, good?
If something should happen to this witness, the cops wouldn't have no case, would they?
That's right, Dowling.
Well, something is going to happen to him. We're going to find this guy, Baker. And when we do, he won't be a witness. He'll be a corpse.
Meanwhile, Colonel, at headquarters, the captain was talking with Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker, your identification of Izzy Lundy as the cleaning store bomber is the first good break we've had in our campaign to rid this city of racketeers.
I'm glad I'm able to help, Captain.
You realize, Mr. Baker, that your life is in constant danger.
Yes, sir.
That gang will stop at nothing, absolutely nothing, to prevent you from testifying at Lundy's trial. So we're going to hide you on a little farm near Sykeston, Missouri. You know where that is?
Yes, sir, about 150 miles south of here.
Yes. Under no circumstances are you to leave the farm unless accompanied by our men.
I understand, Captain.
When we want you, our men will show their credentials and will tell you the captain wants to see you. Now remember that phrase. The captain wants to see you.
Yes, sir. The captain wants to see you.
Mr. Baker was taken to this farm, Colonel, and given ample police protection. Then a startling event occurred.
Prosecutor Wallach, we're anxious to hear this startling occurrence, but right now, here's Charles Stark with a few words.
Mowing the lawn for the first time after the long winter months is always a chore. The ground is uneven, the grass is tough, and you yourself are probably more than a bit tired and sore when you're finished. That's when you need Sloan's 1-2 heat treatment to bring you quick and comforting relief for muscular aches and pains. Here's all you have to do. 1, take your bottle of reliable Sloan's from your medicine shelf and pat on some of this quick-acting liniment. 2, relax. And then, like a heat treatment, Sloan's helps ease those stiff and aching muscles. You can actually feel that penetrating, glowing warmth easing away your pain. Sloan's liniment has helped millions in just this quick and easy way during the past 50 years. And Sloan's will probably do you the same good turn. You'll find Sloan's liniment a true family friend in need. Welcome to the members of your family all through the year. For whatever the cause of your muscular distress, accident, overexertion, or exposure to chilling drafts, you'll find that Sloan's will help you forget your aches and pains in almost no time at all. So make sure you always have a bottle of Sloan's on your medicine shelf. Ask your druggist tomorrow for Sloan's liniment. Now back to Colonel Schwarzkopf.
Prosecutor Wallach, with Mr. Baker hidden out on a farm near Sykeston, Missouri, and with Elmer Dowling threatening to kill Baker to prevent his testifying at Izzy Lundy's trial, you said a startling event occurred.
Baker stayed close to the farm, Colonel Schwarzkopf, awaiting word that the captain wanted to see him. Then, 1 week later, Baker was standing at the farm entrance when 2 men drove up and got out of their car.
Oh, Baker. Mr. Baker.
Yes, sir.
You gentlemen want to see me? Yes, Mr. Baker. We're detectives from headquarters.
Detectives? See our badges?
The captain sent us out. He wants to see you right away about that bombing.
The captain wants to see me.
Now, if you'll just get in the car.
But I'd like to leave word with the men at the farmhouse where I'm going.
We haven't
so
got time for that. This is urgent, Mr. Baker. We don't want to keep the captain waiting.
Well, you know best, sir.
Sit right here in the front seat.
Thank you. Right between the two of us. You don't know what the captain wants to see me about, do you?
I'm not sure, but I think it has something to do with murder.
Gentlemen, we've been driving for an hour. It's getting dark. We're going in the wrong direction. This isn't the way to town.
Baker.
Yes, sir?
We're not going to town.
What?
The captain's going to meet us at a house just up the side road.
Oh, why didn't you tell me about this before, sir?
We got our orders. There's the place now.
Oh, that house looks deserted. There's no lights.
Don't worry about that, Baker.
Well, where's the captain's car if he's going to meet us out here?
Guess we're a little early. How about it, pal?
I guess we are.
Well, let's go in the house anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Come on, Baker.
I'd rather wait here in the car.
No, Baker. We're going inside.
Come on, Baker. Orders are orders.
All right. I'll do what you men say.
Quiet around here. Ain't it, Baker?
Yeah, it is.
Let me take your arm, Baker.
Take my arm?
Yeah, it's so dark you might stumble.
You're sure the captain will be here?
Step inside, Baker.
It's so dark in here, I can't see.
Turn on your flashlight, pal.
Sure.
Go on inside, Baker.
Hey. There's no one in this house. It's empty. Deserted.
That's right, Baker. That's why we brought you here.
Hey, what do you mean?
Just this.
That did it for him, all right, Dolly.
Wait. I want to make sure. Now we got nothing to worry about, Red. 2 bullets right through his head. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Dolly, you think anybody could have heard those shots?
Nah. No one lives within miles of this place.
Let's get in the car and scram.
Hey, Red. Wait a minute.
What's the matter?
We ought to get rid of that body.
Not me. I ain't going back to touch no corpse.
Red, unless you want the same thing Baker got, you better come with me.
Okay, darling. But I don't like it. Yes. It's quiet around here, ain't it?
And dark. Good spot for a job like this. Flash your light.
Darling, look.
Say, what the...
The corpse, the body. It's gone.
But it can't be. It was right here on the floor a minute ago. Flash your light around.
The room is empty.
But he was dead. I killed him. 2 bullets right through his head.
Then where is he?
A dead man can't get up and walk away.
I'm getting out of here.
Me too.
Prosecutor Wallach, do you mean to say the corpse, the victim's body, was actually gone?
Yes, Colonel. By a strange miracle of fate, Louis Lee Baker had not been killed. Though suffering intense agony, he had managed to crawl out the back door of the deserted house and hide. He saw the 2 gunmen return and then run off in terror when they found that his supposedly dead body had vanished.
So that's why the corpse was missing. What did Mr. Baker do?
He dragged himself to the side of the road where some passing workmen found him and rushed him to a hospital. Later that night, at the hospital, Baker talked with police officers.
That's the whole story, Captain. They shot me twice in my head, but I guess I'm too tough to kill.
I don't feel I ought to question you any further, Mr. Baker. You need rest.
I want to tell you all I know.
All right, Moore, take this down. Yes, Captain.
The man who shot me was a big fella, 6 feet, about 200 pounds.
Yes.
Blonde hair, blue eyes.
Now, take it easy, Mr. Baker.
I had a broken nose, no chin.
No chin. Big fellow, blonde, blue eyes, broken nose, receding chin. Why, Captain, that description fits the man we arrested on suspicion but couldn't hold. Yes, Elmer Dowling.
Captain, you know the man? The man who tried to kill me.
Yes, Mr. Baker, and we're going to get him.
When you do, I'll be in court to testify.
Yes, sure. All right, now relax and get some sleep.
Yes, sir.
You'll need every bit of strength you've got.
Yes, Captain.
Come on, Moore. We've got work to do. That fellow Baker has more courage than a dozen men, Captain. He certainly has more. 2 things I can't understand. How Dowling found Baker at the farm, and why should Dowling want to kill him? Seems you can't hide anything from that gang. They probably followed every move Baker made. But I know why Dowling wanted to kill him. Baker's our only witness against Izzy Lundy. If Baker had been killed, Lundy would have gone free. Then you think Lundy and Dowling are part of the same mob, eh? It points that way. Yes, it does. Moore, I want you to grab Izzy Lundy and throw him back in jail immediately. This time he's going to stay in jail till he goes on trial. Right, Captain. Meanwhile, I'll get to work on Dowling. We're going to put the heat on every member of that gang until we get Dowling or they turn him over to us.
Within 5 hours, Colonel, the police had again arrested Izzy Lundy, and the search for Dowling was on. Warnings was flashed from coast to coast.
Attention, all field agents. Federal Bureau Investigation. Attempt to locate and hold for questioning Elmer Dowling in connection with attempted murder. Dowling is 6 feet tall.
Urgent. Police of Eastern Seaboard. Arrest on sight Elmer Dowling, fugitive. Dowling weighs 200 pounds.
Special notice, West Coast Police. Elmer Dowling reported in California. Wanted for attempted murder. Dowling has blonde hair, blue eyes.
Attention, all Missouri police. Be on watch for Elmer Dowling, fugitive gangster, now at large. Dowling believed to have returned to St. Louis. May be hiding out somewhere in city.
Dowling. Dowling.
That you, Red?
Yeah. Open up.
Why'd you come here?
Look at this newspaper. It's about Izzy Lundy.
Lundy?
He was sentenced for that bombing today. Got 25 years.
25 years?
The guy who sent him to jail was that fella you tried to kill, Baker. He testified in court against Lundy.
That was the mistake of my life. Not making sure that guy Baker was dead. Now look what he's done. Has me hounded like a rat.
The cops sure are after you, darling.
I can't stand much more of this. Cooped up in four walls, afraid to show my nose outside. Afraid every noise I hear on the stairs is the cops. I'm going nuts. I can't sleep no more. I lie in the bed, hour after hour, just listening and waiting.
That's all you can do, darling. If you show up on the streets, the cops will grab you inside of 10 minutes.
So where's the rest of the gang? Why don't they do something for me?
They're hiding out from the cops, same as you.
Well, where's Jaime? You ought to be able to find Jaime.
Yeah, he must be with the others.
The yellow rat. Just when I need him, they run out on me. If I ever get my hands on him, I'll... Hold it, Red. Don't open that door. Now, wait till I get my gun.
That ain't the door, it's the phone.
What? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hello, darling.
Who's this?
Me, Jaime.
Oh, Jaime. Well, where have you been? You got no idea how glad I am to hear you. Now, listen, Jaime. I'm on a spot, see? I need dough to beat town. Tell me where Rick can meet you so you can go and...
Listen, you dumb cluck.
Dumb cluck? Why, I'll break you. Now, wait a minute. What's the matter?
Plenty.
What do you mean?
The cops got the gang smashed. Half the boys are in jail already. And the cops ain't going to stop till they get you and every one of us.
Yeah, well...
So there's only one thing for you to do.
For me to do?
The boys say for you to give up to the cops tonight.
What? Why, you're crazy.
You've had your warning, darling. We'll be watching you.
Yeah, now, wait, Jaime, wait.
Now, remember, darling, it's the cops or us.
Hello.
What is it, darling?
The gang. They're throwing me over. Put me on the spot.
On the spot?
Yeah. But how did they know where I was? No one knew where I was, but...
What are you looking at me like that for?
You. You were the only one who knew. You're in with them.
No. Darling, put on that gun.
Shut up. Hand over your money.
Sure, darling. Here is every cent I got here.
I ain't licked yet. I'll get out of this town, and I'll kill anybody that tries to stop me.
Sure you will, sure.
Now, Red, it's your turn.
Don't shoot. Please.
I ain't shooting. I need these bullets for the cops. But here's what you're getting.
Hello, headquarters.
Listen, Copper. You want Elmer Dowling. I know where you'll get him.
Who is this?
Never mind who it is.
Oh, check this call.
Listen to me. Go out to the waiting room of the Taylor Avenue car station, and you'll find Dowling if you get there fast enough.
Maury, hung up.
What was it, Captain?
Another tip on Dowling. Get a special squad. We're going out to the Taylor Avenue car station. It may be a false alarm, but we're going to investigate at once. All right, Maul, pull up here. There's the car station.
Right, Captain. We'll leave the car here so Dowling won't see it.
Follow me, men.
Yes, sir.
Any special instructions, Captain? If Dowling is in his waiting room, we've got to be careful. He's sure to be armed, and I don't want any innocent person hurt.
Yes, sir. We'll have our guns ready.
I'll know Dowling the second I see him.
Here's the waiting room. Careful now, men. A lot of people in there, Captain. See that big fellow sitting there hiding back of that newspaper? It's Dowling. Wonder if he sees us.
He's getting up.
Now, hold it, men. We don't want any shooting.
He's going out the back way.
Good. You two men guard this front door.
Yes, Captain.
Moore, you and I will go around back. Come on, fast. Right, Captain. You ready to shoot any instant? Yes, sir. Hold it. There he goes. Back of that house. Moore, you wait here. I'll cut around this side and try to head him off.
copper. Darling. Now, I'll kill you if you don't do what I say. I'm using you as a shield. Start walking. All right. I'll kill you, but drop that gun, darling. Okay, let go of my arm. Let me. That gun, I said.
He's got down. Come on, man. Come on.
Are you all right, Captain?
Yes, Moore, I'm all right. But this rat isn't. Put the handcuffs on him. There's a man waiting at headquarters to see you, darling.
What man?
The man you tried to murder. A missing corpse.
Elmer Dowling was positively identified by Louis Lee Baker, Colonel, and went on trial for the attempted murder of Mr. Baker on March 4th, 1940. He was convicted and was sentenced to 30 years in the state penitentiary at Jefferson, Missouri.
This has been a most interesting case, Prosecutor Wallach, and I want to congratulate you on your successful prosecution of Dowling. One of the most impressive features of this case is the fine courage displayed by Mr. Baker, who refused to be intimidated in his efforts to help the police smash this mob. In these days of national stress, America needs citizens who support the law enforcement authorities and who are not afraid to face the gangsters and reveal them as real enemies whom this country must face. Thank you, Prosecutor Wallach, for helping us to prove again that crime does not pay. Now, before we broadcast our nationwide clues, a few words from Charles Stark.
I should like to leave you with a reminder. Muscular aches and pains often arrive without warning or invitation. During the summer months to come, when we are all more active, take the wise precaution of always having a bottle of dependable Sloan's liniment on hand. You'll discover that Sloan's will help you get the quick and comforting relief you want. 1, pat on some Sloan's liniment. That's all. Just pat it on. 2, relax. And soon you'll feel that welcome, gentle warmth as it penetrates right to your sore and stiff muscles, easing and soothing the pain. Ask for Sloan's liniment when next you visit your favorite druggist. And now, the clues.
Attention, citizens Southwest. Look out for man wanted concerning murder. Negro, 33, 5 feet 7 inches, 135 pounds, black kinky hair, brown eyes, left eye punctured and may be completely out, 3 razor/slash scars, left arm and shoulder, may wear dark glasses to conceal defective eye. This man wanted connection murder near Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Caution, citizens New England, New York, New Jersey. Watch for James Joseph Horan, 39, 5 feet 9 inches, 180 pounds, brown hair turning gray, brown eyes, tattoo initials JJH, right forearm, large ears, eyes slightly crossed. This man, veteran robber who has been operating in New York and New Jersey, wanted by federal authorities for questioning concerning robbery of bank at Suffield, Connecticut.
If you have any information concerning these clues, notify your local police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters at once. Tonight's broadcast is the last of the current season for Sloan's Liniment. But we have some glad news. Sloan's will again sponsor Gangbusters in the fall. Until then, we wish to thank all of you who have sent us so many splendid letters. And we want to thank the police organizations of the country for cooperating with the producers of Gangbusters in proving so conclusively that crime does not pay. And speaking for Sloan's, a very happy summer to you all until we meet again in the fall. America's crusade against crime.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Proudly we hail.
New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the United States Army. Our story is entitled Ranger Tab. This is the story of the modern Rangers of the United States Army, the rugged, versatile officers and men who've measured up to the infantry school's most challenging tests. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment. Right about now, a good many of you young men are thinking in terms of starting a career, getting into a promising trade or profession with no delay. Why don't you find out about the career opportunity now open to you in the United States Army? The Army School Program was especially designed for ambitious young men like you. Here's how it works. Once you've been accepted, you're trained for the job and type of outfit you're best suited for. Then, advancement depends directly on your job skill and efficiency. You go up the Army ladder on your own merit. Become financially independent with unlimited security now and for the future by joining the United States Army. Learn about your special enlistment opportunities now at your local United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting stations. And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly we hailed production, Ranger Tab.
There's your brook and the bridge ahead. Pull up under the trees, just off the road.
This bridge, Sarge? You really figure this is the one the lieutenant meant?
Yeah, this is it. Pull up. Oh, Calzy, if Sergeant Logan's been blindfolded all the way from camp, he could still nail this rendezvous point faster than you could pick pumpkin from parsnip.
All right.
What's the big idea? You've been doubting Let it go, Corporal. We're here. Good 20 minutes ahead of schedule. Let's get out and stretch our legs.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Hey, Corporal. Look at those big fat perch down in the brook.
Don't holler. You'll scare them.
Oh, boy, what I'd give for a fish line and some bait.
Calval?
Yes, Sergeant?
I told you we had 20 minutes to wait here. If you want some of those fish, what's stopping you?
What's stopping me? No line, no hooks, no bait, that's all. Outside of that...
Well, you could rig a snare, couldn't you?
Where would I get a cord?
Well, we just passed Spruce back there. Work up some of the fine roots, you could twist yourself a cord in no time.
You can make cord from spruce wood?
Spruce, Indian hemp, half a dozen plants you can see from this bridge. Or if you wanted to net the fish or spear them, well, you could...
Oh, wait a minute, Sergeant. Okay. You got me on the rope. But all I wanted to do was put down a hook with some bait on it, and when those perch latch onto it...
You worked with a company clerk this morning, didn't you?
Yeah.
You happen to have any paper clips in your pocket?
Well, sure, I guess so. Yeah, here. Got half a dozen of them.
Thanks. Now, if you just straighten out this first one, say this way, and bend back the end, now you got your hook. And if we open out the rest of them... Hey, Calzy, you're in business. That's a hook and a 12-inch leader Logan's rigged for you.
Yeah, for paper clips. Hey, come on, let's grab some grasshoppers or find some worms. What I don't get, Sarge, is how you learned all this
stuff. You're losing your eyesight, Calzy? Did you ever see the Ranger tab over Logan's divisional patch?
Ranger tab?
Oh.
What's that got to do with fishing?
You know how to live off the country. Why, the Rangers can find food where crows will be lining up for K rations. Go on, tell them about it, Sarge. We got time here till the lieutenant catches up with us. Not time enough, Calvano. Our Ranger training covers a lot more than plain survival techniques. It's an 8-week course, and from the day each candidate hits course
Fort Benning, Georgia, where the Ranger Training Command of the Infantry School welcomes selected volunteers drawn from the United States Infantry, airborne, armored, and combat engineer units all over the world. Addressing a squad of the new class that included Sergeant Jim Logan, Tactical Officer Ben Compton outlined the challenge of the 8 weeks ahead.
What? Hup!
At ease, men. I'm Lieutenant Thompson, your TAC officer for the duration of the course. Chiefly, I'll be observing and appraising the job you do during the 3 weeks here at Benning, the 2 weeks at our Florida camp, and the final 3 weeks in the mountains. You'll be instructed by specialists. You'll operate for your own leaders. Now, most of your learning you'll get by doing. We aim to pack a great deal of it into these next 8 weeks. How to eat, move, and fight effectively under all kinds of conditions. Heat, cold, tropic, mountain. But the main thing you'll learn if you make the grade is that a good man can always do a lot more than he might think he can. Now, this course is a challenge. Meet it, and you can put that Ranger tab on your shoulder. And when you do, you'll know that you're rated with the best fighting men on Earth. You'll find training schedules posted in the barracks.
Man, they really figure to keep us jumping around here. Look at that schedule. 3-mile run, bayonet drill, hand-to-hand fighting, and then they shove in some straight exercise.
Do you figure they'd hold us down here for 8 weeks in the sack, Sergeant?
Get that organized, fella, and I'll sign up.
My name's Logan. Jim Logan.
Well, you got my sympathy, Sergeant. I'm Danny Marlowe.
Are you teamed up with anybody yet for this buddy system they want us to follow?
Logan, you got yourself a partner, if you'll put up with me. But
what?
I haven't had time to get the Carolina sand on my boots yet. Here I am tucking out just looking at this schedule. If you get left an orphan next week, don't say I didn't warn you.
Now, the next exercise is the high jumper. We'll take it in cadence on cumulative count and by mass command. To the starting position. Mass! Starting position. Hold! The exercise at your command. Mass! Indicated. Exercise. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Rifle defense, when surprised up close, you don't lift for a full aim. You snap off a pair of shots fast, then see if you need any more. Now, in your crouch this way, you just jump to face the sound of the enemy and let your body do your aiming for you. All right, let's try it individually on the dummies as I call your target. Logan, first dummy.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, Danny?
Figure we've run clear over to Tennessee yet?
I'd call it going to the 4th mile.
Back on that 3rd mile. I was calling my pack 500 pounds even. Since we started up this hill, I'm going for the world's weight-toting record.
You can't make it, Danny. In my pack feels I'm lugging all the lead in the world right now.
All right, Marlowe, suppose you orient the map for us this time, huh?
That do it, Lieutenant?
How'd you arrive at that?
By inspection, sir. Started on that knob over beyond the gully.
Knob isn't named on the map. All are you sure how Marlowe picked it out?
You mean contour lines, Lieutenant?
Check. Delaney, get your compass on the knob and give us the azimuth you'd use to get over there.
Yeah.
All right, call it 305 degrees, sir. We had a patrol on that knob, Marlowe, and you want to report back its position. How would you write it in terms of this map?
Well, I'd use an overlay. Coordinates on our thrust line if we set one up.
Know what a thrust line is, Logan?
Yes, sir.
Delaney?
Can't say I'm all the way straight on it, Lieutenant.
Which means you don't know. All right, let's get you straight on. If a report made with standard grid coordinates fell into enemy hands, they might nail our patrol in 2 minutes. For any given area, a commander can get extra insurance against that by picking any 2 points at random and calling a line drawn between them the thrust line. Now, for this area, we might call it from the head of the
On a night compass course, when you hit a swamp or an enemy outpost or a river that meanders around, you've got several ways of making the detour and getting back on your azimuth. One's to right angle off, counting your paces when you're past the obstacle. But a faster one, even when it's too dark for landmarks, is to try averaging the angles of departure and return. Have you got that? All right, let's try it on the double. Logan, you lead us on a 45-degree swing to the left for 10 minutes, and then get us back on the original azimuth. Let's see. Your first checkpoint is that split pine up ahead.
We'll start off easy this morning. 50 push-ups apiece. The position. Move. Start push-ups. Exercise. Hut. Hut. Hut.
As Rangers, you men will be doing more on less than the enemy expects of you. You'll travel faster, deliver more firepower at any given spot and time if that's your assignment. When I say Rangers, of course, I mean you and the men of your own outfit you'll be working with on return. A Ranger gets top use out of every weapon, every piece of equipment carried. On demolition, if a job calls for a half pound of explosive material, you don't stock in 2 pounds and you don't try to get away with 2 ounces. Remembering your beehive principle, you shape and pack your charge where it'll do what you want it to do. You ready there yet, Logan?
All set, sir.
I guess you kept in. What's your fuse set for?
1 minute.
Check it, Marlowe.
Setup looks all right to me, Lieutenant.
Light it, Delaney.
Fire in the hole.
Lieutenant, are we starting out of here?
We can get into our ditch and behind those sandbags in 15 seconds, and that's walking.
But, Lieutenant...
All right, let's get over and back of some cover. But we're walking there, Marlowe.
What's this, Lieutenant, made out of ice or something? It's a 1 minute fuse, Danny. I got it myself. Okay, but what if you make...
All right, down back the sandbags here. Things to remember about explosives, Marlowe. You don't underrate them and you don't overrate them. They're a tool. Use them right and they're no trickier to handle than a sharp axe might be. All right, Logan, let's see if your tree comes down.
I shouldn't have come to Benton, Jim. They're trying to get more out of me than I got.
Ah, cut it out, Danny. If you weren't a good man, your company commander never endorsed you for this. What's really getting you down?
Well, snakes, for one thing. I've hated them since I was a kid and saw a man die from a rat and a bite his face all black and hollering.
They haven't lost a Ranger candidate yet from snake bite, Danny.
Well, they can always start with me, can't they?
You ever been near a snake since you were a kid?
Think I'm crazy? Of course not.
Well, it could be like explosives. If you know enough about them, maybe they're not so tough.
Look, Jim. If we were in combat and had to do something, might be I'd make as good a try as the next guy. But to keep beating your brains out walking into 98 kinds of trouble just for practice...
Nothing we get into here is worse than combat, Danny. I mean, I had a year and a half in Korea, I ought to know. But if you have enough tough dry runs in a course like this, there's a lot less can throw you off balance later.
Off balance? Man, I get knocked down every time I try to get on my knees. Wake up 10 yards behind my goalpost and keep being shoved back all day long. You just watch down in Florida, Jim. If I don't wind up smack at the bottom of the thickest, blackest, most alligator-ridden muck a man ever got himself in.
All right, men, you've been doing so well on your patrol problems. Tomorrow you're going to have a special Florida-type beach party. Picnic, short dinner, all the trimmers.
What do you know, Jim? Old Simon LeGree Thompson breaking down.
Only catch is that you're going to have to cover 20 miles of swamp and scrub to get to the beach. You're going to promote your own picnic on the way. You can find your food wild, run it down, or pull it out of the sea with the tackle you improvise yourself.
Lieutenant, you mean we don't even get to take off...
No chow lines tomorrow, Rangers, and no rations packed. You get a machete and a compass apiece, and you're on your own for the day, living off the country as you go.
You are listening to the proudly we hail production, Ranger Tab. We'll return in just a moment for the second act. What's your interest? Is it radio, photography, motor mechanics, metalwork? If you'd like to learn a highly skilled, well-paid trade like pharmacy, watch repairs, photography, motor mechanics, or electronics, there's no better place to learn than in the United States Army. The Army offers training in dozens of highly specialized jobs. Jobs that will pay you well for the rest of your life. Many veterans have already used their Army training and experience to build profitable careers for themselves out of the skills the Army taught them. You can do the same. Visit your local United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today. Talk it over and find out what's in it for you when you serve your country as an American soldier. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, an And now we present the second act of Ranger Tab. In a world where the defense of freedom can call American troops anywhere, to the Arctic, to mountainous countries, to deserts, or to tropical lowlands, all soldiers have to expect the unexpected. In the Rangers, where stress is put on self-reliance and resourcefulness, candidates learn to find food and water and to operate with relative ease under conditions where untrained men might panic or starve.
Some more arrowhead plants, Danny. Want to dig for the bulb?
Look here. If it's all the same to you, let's just keep on with these bone spears we made till we scare up some rioters.
You don't take to the arrowhead bulbs?
All right. I can get the cattail roots and the dandelion down. I'm glad to know about them if I ever get into a jam, but I'm getting hungry.
Hey, we're in, Danny. You hear that?
What?
Our frog's legs would cost you $5 a plate back in wrestling country. Come on, we'll rig nets out of this fiber we lined up and catch ourselves a dozen of them.
Hold it. Hold it.
Oh, what is it?
Don't move. There's a snake right behind you. Wait, yell give it the car.
Oh, take it easy, Dan. I can chop him with a machete.
Jim, no, don't go near him.
There's bait when we hit the shore and start fishing, Danny. Thanks for tipping me off.
Jim, I wouldn't have gone near him for...
Oh, you handled a rattling class the other day, didn't you?
No, Delaney stepped out of position, covered for me. He had his head while I just fake handled his body.
Danny, you're not helping anybody when you talk.
Okay, I know. I watched the rescue, and it should be all right. But, well, I'm still giving snakes plenty elbow room.
They don't have elbows, and they don't have... All right. You get better than an assist on that. Come on, let's get collecting our frog's legs. Huh?
Jim, there could be moccasins in that water. Let's just keep going.
The lunch menu says frog's legs, and frog's legs we're having. Get a fire started.
The Ranger candidates fared better that day than they thought they would. Rabbits, turtles, berries, edible plants, and wild fruit on the way. Crab, mussels, and fish at the shore in plenty, enough to feed them 5 times over. They even learned that some kinds of seaweed can be a nourishing delicacy. And in the great Smoky Mountains of northern Georgia, as the training moved into the last 3 weeks, the men found that food, shelter, and supplies can be improvised high as well as low. And for getting down sheer cliffs quickly and safely, the Rangers in training learned the mountaineer's art of rappelling.
Now, we told you not to try going up or down a cliff unless you have to. In mountain country, you generally either be following the ridge line or a valley, not trying to keep cutting across the ridges. All right, if there's a way around a cliff, take it. If there isn't, and you have ropes, rappelling can help you. Now, the trick's based on the friction of rope against your body. Okay, Marlowe, get your rope around this tree.
Tying it around?
No, the free end around. Then haul till your 2 ends are even. And you want to be sure you pick a good solid tree or rock, one that won't snag the rope when you want to haul it down afterward.
Right.
All right, Marlowe. Back now, 4 or 5 feet from the tree, straddling your rope.
Keeping it pulled tight?
This way. Reaching in back of you, you wrap the pair of ropes around your left thigh. Up across your chest, over your right shoulder. And take your free end in your left hand and back. Now the other you take with your right and front. All right, dropping down this cliff, you take it in spurts. Facing in, feet against the rock when you make contact. Staying out line with both hands.
You asking us to drop down that cliff now, Lieutenant?
Go to the edge and get the feel of it. Now lean back now. In that rig, you can't break loose unless you panic and let go of the rope.
Look, Lieutenant, I wouldn't let go of this rope.
All right, Marlowe. Pull back and let Logan get the feel of it. And Delaney, rig a second rope on that other tree. Now, I'll drop down the cliff once and climb back. And all of you get a shot at it in turn.
Man, this is fun. Come on, Jim, I'll race to the bottom of the cliff.
All right. Each man out on a plank in turn and jump on command.
Jim, that's a 30-foot drop there. They got a grenade shot to it.
The grenade's a blanket's in the water, Danny. All you can get is wet, isn't it?
Marlowe out. Logan on deck.
Every time.
Up! Logan out. Ortega on deck.
From the days of Rogers Rangers, Morgan's Riflemen, and a handful of unstoppable Kentuckians who followed George Rogers Clark to the capture of Kaskaskia and Vincennes, through to the memorable combat exploits of modern American Army Rangers in the Sicily landings at Anzio, Cesena di Vittoria, Omaha Beach, Luzon, and in Korea, Ranger tactics have always stressed the shock value of swift-traveling, highly trained units delivering an outsized punch in proportion to the numbers actually used. Today, that extra punch and those special skills are being added to all infantry units as increasing numbers of Ranger-trained non-coms and officers return to their outfits, and not as lone wolves. The Rangers are trained for leadership and cooperation with others at all levels, from battalion to six-man patrol. So Danny Marlowe learned in Georgia after his surprise selection as first day's patrol leader on the important final mission to simulate destruction of the Blue Ridge power installation.
Okay, guys, hit for cover. Christie and Ortega out on flanks. Trevoli out on point.
We all the way to that first aggressor outpost, Danny? I passed the first one. There'll be lots more between here and those turbines we're looking for.
It's pretty slick, Danny, making that first feint down below the bridge to draw off most of the aggressive patrol.
It's four-leaf clover stuff, Jim.
No, not lucky, Danny. You figured it out and made it work.
Well, our big problems are still ahead. That's why I wanted to check this map again.
You got a route worked out yet?
Well, I got an idea, but maybe all of you better hear it first. It'll be coming straight out of your hides if we try it.
Out of our hides? How?
Well, I was thinking of taking a wide swing and hitting the dam from the northeast.
The northeast? You mean going clear around the river?
Right. The other side of the red.
Wait a minute, Danny. I could be adding 20 miles of tough up and down country to what we have to cover.
Well, that's why I think it would work. The aggressors got here looking at the same map we got. They know how tough the terrain is, and they know any attack mission will be looking for the fastest way of getting there.
Oh, but we're on a time schedule, Danny. We got to get there, hit the turbines, and then get back to the
I
base
know
by
the schedule. I'm saying we buy those extra 20 miles out of our sleep. Keep pushing all of the day and most of tonight.
And then hitting them from the side, they'd figure we didn't have a prayer of getting to. I say it could work. How about you, Ortega?
We'll cross them up. Okay with me. You, Clark?
Well, we can catch up on our sleep after we blow the turbine. I'm in.
Well, Christie, Danny, and Trevoli said they'd take it any way we wanted to play it. That gets it back to you, Delaney.
Well, let's get pushing. We got those extra 20 miles to cover. We better keep driving all the way.
Jim Logan was patrol leader the second day, and he kept the squad pushing ahead at the headlong pace they'd maintained from the start. Moving fast, but with points out and keeping security all the way. This was applying all the techniques they'd learned in the hard weeks behind them. Cover, deception, rock work, survival tricks, map use, river crossings, and a dozen more. And the chief truth they'd gained all through the course. When men lick their own doubts, there's almost nothing that can stop them. There was a near ambush and a chase late on the second afternoon, but the patrol was coming from the unexpected side. And after they'd swerved and pushed on through, their last miles to the dam were through the thinner defense lines they'd hoped for. Creeping and crawling the last 300 yards, their exhaustion forgotten in the excitement of the showdown, they trapped and stifled the outcry of the one aggressor sentry between them and the objective, slipped into the designated target point, and placed their simulated charge.
Hey, Jim, light up and let's get out of here.
No, it's not right yet, Delaney. You got to put on something to make sure the charge will blow in against the turbine.
Look, this is a fake charge, and those aggressor babies are tough. Except us getting fancy around here.
We need packing to make the demolition sure.
Jim. These sandbags help?
But Danny, you're supposed to be back with...
Well, Clark and I figured we came this far and might as well do the job up right. We got these sandbags from that guard box.
And make it a #1 job, Danny. Let's get them packed on. Huh?
Right.
Okay. All set. Oh, and just remember, guys, fast and quiet on the way out. If there's a fight, rendezvous at the security position. Here she goes. Fire in the hull. Let's go.
Candidate Logan.
Candidate Logan, sir. You're a ranger, Logan. You've earned this tab, and we're proud to have you wear it. Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Ranger Candidate Marlowe.
Now, look, Sarge, maybe I shouldn't ask after hearing you tell what it takes, but well, how does a guy get picked for this ranger school?
Why, the deal's open for anyone in the Army, Calzano, from PFC to captain. If you're under 33, qualified as a sharpshooter or better, and have some other qualifications I'll tell you about. Main thing, though, is that no one gets picked to try.
Yeah, but, Sergeant, if you just...
No, all Rangers are volunteers, Calzano. If you want to try for this tab, you do the reaching yourself. And you're the one man who decides whether there's one waiting for you at Fort Benning.
Here's a special message to all Army veterans. You are urged to find out about the special enlistment opportunities now available to you. You can now enlist directly for the Chemical Corps, Engineers, Infantry, Armor, Ordnance, Army Medical Service, Artillery, Quartermaster, Military Police, Signal, or Transportation Corps, any of those technical services. This is an opening made especially for you and is not available to everybody. Only to those of you who have had prior Army service. Of course, you will have to pass the other qualifications too, the age limit and mental and physical examinations. But as an Army vet, you're already acquainted with the high caliber of men who meet the test. That applies also to the paratroopers. Only you men with prior service in the airborne are privileged to enlist directly for it now. Get full details about these opportunities today at your local United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting stations. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Now, once again, it's time to keep that weekly appointment with our good friend and host, Dr. Watson. Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mr. Bell. As usual, you're punctual to the minute. Draw up your chair and make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
That's it.
I see that you have the old black tin dispatch box out again, Dr. Watson. I deduced that you were going over your notes on tonight's case.
Elementary, my dear boy. And among the records, I came across some notes of cases that I'd almost forgotten. The shocking death of Crosby, the banker, the Addleton tragedy, and some data on the unusual contents of the ancient British barrow.
Those stories sound pretty intriguing, Dr. Watson.
I shall tell them to you some other evening, Mr. Bell. Tonight, I'm going to recount an adventure that took place in the heart of the beautiful English countryside. I call it The Adventure of the Tolling Bell. Well, that story began in the small country village of Carnforth. Holmes had recently brought to a successful conclusion the affair of the Barrow and Furnace wheelchair murders, and we decided that a few days' rest in nearby Carnforth would do us both good before returning to our arduous life in Baker Street. We were staying at a small but comfortable inn. Early on the morning of the third day, I remember, Holmes and I were in our bedroom waiting for those two essentials without which an English country gentleman could not start his day: the early morning cup of tea and a jug of hot water for shaving. As we sat there at the open window, a nearby church bell was tolling a funeral knell. There must be a funeral in the village, Holmes.
An astonishing deduction, Watson.
There's no need to make fun of me. Pressing sound, isn't it?
I suppose so. Has it ever occurred to you, Watson, that the history of bells is full of romantic interest?
Well, I can't say that I've thought much about it.
Almost every historical event has been accompanied by the sound of bells. They summoned soldiers to arms as well as Christians to church. They sounded the alarm in fire, tumult, and invasion. And many a bloody chapter in history has been rung in and out by bells.
Well, you seem to be a mine of information on the subject.
Yes, Watson. It's a fascinating subject.
Come in, come in. Good morning, my dear.
Morning, gentlemen. I brought you tea and your shaving water. Mrs. Mickle said to say your breakfast will be ready in half an hour.
Splendid, Mary. Oh, Mary, the church bell is tolling a funeral knell. Do you know who is being buried?
That I do, sir. I wish it was me. It'll be my turn soon.
Poor little thing. I wonder what's the matter with her.
I have no idea.
Perhaps her father or mother just died. Or a young man. Yes, I bet that's it. She's a pretty girl. And she'd obviously been crying when she came in. Perhaps that's her fiancé they're burying now.
Watson, you have the sentimental imagination of the true storyteller. But we've come here for a holiday. You must give your imagination a rest, too. So drink your tea, remove your whiskers, and we'll go downstairs and investigate those kippers.
You like your kippers, gentlemen?
Excellent, Mrs. Mickle, excellent. Never eaten better.
Yes, indeed. By the way, Mrs. Mickle, we heard the funeral bell tolling earlier on. Do you know who was being buried?
That I do. 2 souls are being buried. And one of them was a murderer.
A murderer? Good Lord, in this peaceful village?
What happened, Mrs. Mickle?
For old Threadgold, the corn merchant. Found out his wife had been gallivanting around with a young fellow from Bolton. Cut her throat, he did, and hanged himself. More tea.
Thank you.
Oh, shocking. So the peaceful countryside is not as peaceful as it's made out to be, Holmes.
A fact that I've frequently had occasion to point out to you, Watson. Has the Morning Post arrived yet, Mrs. Mickle?
Here comes old Gilly up the path with it now. I'll see if he's got anything for you.
A murder, eh? What do you make of it, Holmes?
What is there to make of it, Watson? A jealous husband murders a faithless wife and then commits suicide. A tragic story, but a simple one.
Top of the morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, Gilly. Any letters for me today?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, 2 letters. One of them's got some newspaper clippings in it, I think. And you've got a postcard from a Mr. Lestrade. He wants you back in London bad, Mr. Holmes. Here you are.
Upon my soul, Gilly, you've been reading Mr. Holmes's private correspondence.
Bless your heart, Dr. Watson. If I didn't read other people's correspondence, how would I know what's going on in the village?
You were right, Gilly. It is newspaper clippings. By the way, you heard about the murder of Mrs. Threadgold, I suppose?
Heard about it. I told the bell this morning at the funeral.
You mean to say that you're the bell ringer as well as the postman?
Bless your heart, yes, Doctor. President of the Choral Society, too, as well as being on the parish council.
You're a busy man, Gilly.
That I am, sir. Take this afternoon now. I'm to ring those bells again.
Not another funeral, surely?
No, sir. A wedding this time.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
Young St. Perrin is marrying the Slater girl. And you might say I'm responsible for bringing them together. Got some of their letters mixed up, I did. They looked each other up to exchange them, and they presto, before you know what's happening, they're getting married. Regular Cupid, you might say I am.
Be off with you, Gilly. Other people want their letters. Mr. Holmes doesn't want his kippers spoiled with your idle chatter.
All right, Mrs. Crabapples and Vinegar. One of these fine days you'll smile, and the world will come to an end. Good day, gentlemen.
Talkative old busybody he is. Oh, Mr. Holmes. Mrs. Lapland's in the old. The poor old lady's most anxious to talk to you.
Mrs. Lackland?
She has the seamstress shop in the High Street. Her only son ran away from home a few months back. I think that's what she wants to speak to you about.
Oh, but my friend's here for a rest, Mrs. Mickle.
I told her that, Doctor, but she won't go away without seeing Mr. Holmes.
Oh, very well. Ask her to come in, please, Mrs. Mickle.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, why do you bother to see her, Holmes? Sounds like a trivial matter.
The disappearance of an only son can never be a trivial matter.
Well, I meant trivial for you, not for her.
This is Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, dear.
Thank you, Ellie. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please sit down, Mrs. Lackland. That's it. Now, what's the trouble?
It's Tom, sir. My only son. He left me 4 months ago, and I've not seen ear nor eyed of him since.
You've had no message from him since he left?
Not one word. I'm fair out of my mind, sir.
Have you any idea of his reason for leaving the village, Mrs. Lackland?
None, sir. He was a good boy, and he worked hard, and he didn't fool around with those flippity-gibbet girls in the village. I think he's met with foul play, gentlemen. And I want you to find out about him for me, Mr. Holmes. I've heard say in the village that you're the greatest detective in England.
Mrs. Lackland, I'd be glad to help you, but you'll give me no clues to work with. I'm afraid that I
If it's money you want, I got £20 in my postal savings. It's all yours if you can bring my Tommy home to me. Or at least tell me he's safe.
Mrs. Lackland, I wouldn't dream of accepting a fee. However, I shall give your problem some thought. If I arrive at any conclusions, I'll get in touch with you at once.
God bless you, Mr. Holmes. Good morning to you, sir.
Good day.
Good morning, Mr. Lackland. Poor old thing. I don't see how you can help her, Holmes.
Nor do I, at the moment. But a young man who has grown up in a small village like this may have led a life that his mother is totally unaware of. You said that you had to work on one of your stories today, Watson.
Yes, I had a letter from the editor of the Strand magazine yesterday requesting a manuscript as soon as possible.
Splendid. Then you stay at the inn and work on your latest masterpiece while I scour the village to see what may be found out about the missing young man.
Well, there you are, Holmes. I was beginning to think you got lost.
Hello, Watson. I trust you had a profitable session with pen and paper.
Well, I've done about half a chapter. I would have done more if it hadn't been for those infernal bells.
The wedding ceremony that the worthy Gilly told us about this morning. Well, I'm tired.
Oh, well, what did you find out about Mrs. Lackland's son?
Among other things, that he had a secret love life unknown to his mother. And the object of his affections was none other than the maid who brought us our tea this morning.
Mary? Can we talk to her?
No, it's her half day off, and I was unable to find her. However, I shall question her when she brings our tea tomorrow morning. Come in, Mary.
Oh, Mrs. Mickle.
Good morning, gentlemen. Here's your tea and shaving water.
Where's Mary this morning?
She didn't come to work. Must be ill again. Unreliable girl. And no better than she ought to be, if you ask me. It's no job for me to be carrying tea and hot water upstairs.
I hear the village bell tolling for another funeral. Does Carnforth have a burial every morning? I really don't see how the population can run to it.
It's another suicide, sir.
Another suicide? Good Lord.
Old John Larrabee, the baker. He was expecting some money from his son in Australia. It never came. And they foreclosed on his shop. And he hanged himself. Will you be wanting a couple of boiled eggs to your breakfast, gentlemen?
No, I haven't much of an appetite, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
That woman seems absolutely heartless. She almost smacks her lips when she tells us about these tragedies.
Yes, Watson, I noticed it. This peaceful village is beginning to seem strangely sinister to me. And since you have no appetite for breakfast, perhaps you'll join me in a little excursion as soon as you're dressed.
Of course. Where are we going?
To see the maid, Mary. I'm anxious to talk to her before another funeral bell begins to toll.
This must be the cottage, Holmes. They said it was the one with honeysuckle over the gate.
Yes, and there's Mary sitting on the porch.
Oh, she's got up. She's coming up the path to meet us.
Good morning, Mary. I'm sorry you're not feeling well.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, why have you come here? Not to ask about my health. Why should a servant girl matter to a gentleman like you?
Oh, you must judge us, my dear. I assure you that...
No, Watson. Let's be honest and admit we didn't come here because of our concern for Mary's health.
Then why did you come here, sir?
Mrs. Lackland asked me to try and find her son, Tom.
Tom?
Yes, Tom Lackland. I thought you might be able to help me, Mary.
If I could help you, Mr. Holmes, I'd be helping myself, too. Here come Gilly, the postman. Gilly? Gilly, is there a letter for me today?
No, lass. There's nothing for you again.
There must be, Gilly. There must be there.
No, lass. If the letter would come, I'd bring it to you as fast as my legs would carry me. You know that. Oh. Morning, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson. Left some letters at the inn for you, Doctor. You had a letter from a lady.
Oh, how do you know it was from a lady?
Reeked with the smell of violets, it did. And it was written in green ink on grey paper, sir.
Amazing deduction.
That sounds like your young friend from Daly's, Watson.
Oh, how did you know that? Well, I mean, I don't have a young friend from Daly's, Watson.
Quite. Gilly, you tolled another funeral bell today, didn't you?
Aye, sir. And a tragic thing it was. Old Larrabee hanged himself because he didn't get money from his son in Australia. I found him, I did. I was the one to cut him down. And right in the post bag was the letter he was waiting for. The letter that had saved his life.
Great Scott, what a ghastly piece of irony.
That it was, sir. That it was. Well, gentlemen, I'll be on my way. Good day. Good day, Mary. Perhaps that letter will arrive tomorrow.
No. I'll never hear from Tom, never. He's ashamed of me. That's why he deserted me.
Deserted you, Mary? You speak almost as if you were his wife.
I am his wife.
What?
We were married secretly in Rochdale 5 months ago, come Tuesday.
And he never told his mother?
He was afraid to. She thought I was beneath him. Tom said he'd go away and get a good job and then return here and fetch me back with him. He went away all right. But he never came back, sent me word.
When he left, did he give no clue as to his destination? No hint of any kind, Mary?
Well, he did once say, Mary, I'm going to clear out to this puddle and make my fortune, even if I have to bury it. And then he said, bury me fortune. That's a joke, isn't it? But I didn't know what he meant by it.
I think I do, Mary. Watson, we're taking a short train journey as soon as possible.
Oh, where are we going, may I ask?
We're going to the town of Bury in search of this young lady's husband.
What makes you think Tom might be in Bury, Mr. Holmes?
Because the famous fortune cotton mills are in Bury. It would seem possible that when your husband joked of burying his fortune, he was talking of going to the mills there.
Wherever he's gone, he won't be coming back for me. I know that.
No, don't talk like that, my dear. Remember, you have friends, Mrs. Lackland. How much longer is Holmes going to be? Leaves me standing outside the factory gates as if I were a blasted coachman. Oh, there he is. Holmes!
Hello, Watson. Permit me to introduce you to Mr. Tom Lackland. Tom, this is Dr. Watson.
How do you do, Dr. Watson?
How do you do? Never mind how I do, young fellow, my lad. How do you do? Your behavior's been absolutely shocking. Shocking.
Now, what are you talking about?
Leaving your dear old mother and deserting your pretty little bride because you're ashamed of her. You're a scoundrel, sir. You deserve a good horsewhipping, and I have a good mind to give it to you.
I don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Watson, but I don't like the words you use. And if it's violence you want, I don't mind telling you I'm amateur heavyweight champion of the county.
You are? Oh, no need to come aggressive, boss.
Let's waste time on being acrimonious, Watson. Let's get back to the station as fast as we can. The return of the prodigal is long overdue. We must give them every opportunity to kill the fatted calf.
Hi, there's Mary's house. I'm dying to see her.
And after this reunion, Tom, I suggest that you both go over and see your mother. I'm sure she'll forgive you.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, I'll do that.
Well, perhaps we should have warned her. Your sudden appearance may be something of a shock.
I think it's a shock that Mary can handle. She must be out. Door's locked.
Knock again, if you don't mind. She may be asleep. Great heavens! That was a revolver shot.
Come on, Watson. Help me break in the door.
Now, Dr. Watson, that was a fine place to break off your story. You left me right on the edge of a cliff. Had the young girl shot herself?
She'd shot at herself, Mr. Bell. But fortunately, a last-minute lack of courage had made her shot go wild. Holmes and I and the young bridegroom burst into the house and wrested the smoking revolver from her hand. I must confess that the union between the two young lovers was a touching sight. In fact, I felt considerably older than I was as Holmes and I stood there listening to Tom reassuring.
Mary, darling, it's all right. I'm here.
Oh, Tom, you did come back from me. I thought you never would. I tried to kill myself, but I hadn't the courage.
Oh, there, Mary. Everything's going to be all right now.
Will be, Tom, won't it? I'm so tired.
And now, Tom, I think the time has come to reassure Mary that you did write to her.
Oh, of course I did, Mary, darling. And I sent you money and told you that I'd be back here to take you to Ferry as soon as I'd saved up enough.
You wrote to me, Tom?
Twice a week. And I wrote to Mother, too.
Then why didn't I get the letters?
The answer to that should be obvious, my dear. Gilly, the postman, deliberately withheld them from you.
Gilly?
Great heavens. Why?
I had my suspicions. Strong suspicions. But I have to get proof. Tell me, Mary, the day before yesterday, Mr. Treadgold murdered his wife. Do you know how he learned of her infidelity?
Well, I'm not sure, but I did hear Mrs. Nichols say that it was through some letters that got mixed up. The letters addressed to her were delivered to his office instead of at the house.
Gilly again. Precisely. Surely the whole terrible pattern begins to take shape. Tom.
Yes, Mr. Holmes?
I'm going to lay a trap. To spring it, I shall need your assistance.
Of course, Mr. Holmes. I'll do anything.
Wait here with Mary until darkness falls. Then muffle yourselves up and go to your mother's house. Wait there in hiding and let no outsiders see you until you hear from me.
Since you two lovebirds have been separated for 4 months, I don't imagine that'll be too unpleasant.
Quiet, Watson. You understand, Tom?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Good. Then come on, Watson.
What's your plan, Holmes?
I'll tell you as we go. One thing I can promise you. Before the sun is very high tomorrow, I shall free this village from one of the most subtly evil powers I've ever come in contact with.
Good morning, Mrs. Mickle.
Good morning.
I always said that Mary was a no-good girl, and now she's killed herself. But of course, I had to come to her funeral.
It's very charitable, Mrs. Mickle, I must say. In any case, the vicar says that the poor girl was of unsound mind.
Yes, madam, you can't blame her.
Well, I'll be getting into the church.
Holmes, this farce is beginning to get on my nerves. What are we accomplishing by burying an empty coffin?
You'll soon see, old chap. Come on, let's slip into the vestry. This way.
Where are we going, Holmes?
Up the stairs that lead to the belfry. Here they are.
Well, supposing Gilly turns nasty when he finds out we know his secret.
Then we must handle him to the best of our ability, Watson.
Oh, I must say I do not relish the thought of a tussle high in the belfry of a church. The man must be insane.
Obviously. That's why his power must be destroyed. This door apparently leads to the belfry. Keep your wits about you, Watson. Good morning, Gilly.
Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson. You've come to see me at work. That's nice of you. Not often I get company up here.
We haven't come up here to see you at work, Gilly. We know your diabolical work only too well.
Yes, Gilly, we know your secret.
What secret's that?
You're mad with power, Gilly. You've tried to control the destiny of this village. In your position as postman, you have the power to give life and death.
That I have, sir. And it's a great power. It makes a man feel good. Almost like a god, you might say.
Sacrilege, you scoundrel. You were responsible for the murder of Mrs. Treadgold.
Aye, sir, that I was. And for the old man hanging himself.
You were responsible for John Laraby's suicide, weren't you?
Aye, that I was. Larrabee tried to vote me off the village council. I swore I'd make him fight for it, and I did.
Your reign is over, Gilly. You'll never toll a bell again. The only one you'll hear will be a prison bell.
You can't touch me, Mr. Holmes. You've got no proof. There's nothing you can do.
Don't be too sure. I've enough influence to take your job away.
You take me away from me bells. I live for these bells. You wouldn't take me away from them.
You couldn't live without the power they give you, could you, Gilly?
You're trying to destroy me!
You are destroyed, Gilly.
Yes, you've already failed. Mary's alive.
Alive? But the coffin they're burying down there
is full of stones. You'll be the laughing stock of the village, Gilly.
They'll never laugh at Gilly. You can't catch me, Mr. Holmes. I'm beyond justice.
He's running up the ladder leading to the bell car.
Come back, Gilly. Come back.
He's mad as a hatter.
Quite.
What's he going to do up there? He might set fire to the steeple. Commit any madness. I'm going to fetch him, Holmes.
No, Watson. He drew a knife as he fled. And with that rickety staircase and the narrow opening leading into the bell chamber, you'd never stand a chance. He'd get you on the first slash.
How are we going to get him down?
There's only one way. He's in a tiny loft containing his beloved bells. We'll see how much he loves them at close quarters. I doubt if even he can stand the noise in that confined space. Where's that bell rope?
Come down, Gilly. Come down from there.
Stop! Stop ringing me bells!
Not until you come down, Gilly.
Stop ringing them! I can't stand it! You drive me mad!
You are mad, Gilly. Mad with power. Come down here, I say.
I'm coming!
Great heavens, he hurled himself out of the belfry. Holmes, he hasn't a chance of surviving that fall.
I have no intention of causing the unhappy man to jump to his death, Watson, though I cannot help but feel that his poor demented mind may find a happy oblivion this way rather than in the confines of an asylum.
Yes, you're probably right, Holmes.
It's been a shocking case, Watson, shocking. And once again it proves the old saying that violence does in truth recoil upon the violent, and the schemer falls into the pit which he digs for another.
Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, let me see what's likely there. Next week, I think I'll tell you a rather gruesome story about how Sherlock Holmes saved the life and the sanity of a certain Count Romagny. I call it The Adventure of the Carpathian Horror.
Tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Golden Pants Knave. Nigel Bruce appeared through the courtesy of California Pictures. Tom Conway by permission of Eagle Lion Pictures. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight with original music composed and conducted by Alex Steiner. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time, when Dr. Watson will tell us
The Adventure of the Carpathian Horror.
Crime does not pay.
You? Yourself? Oh, really now, Mr. Dryden.
Why not, Mrs. Hunter? Don't you believe I'm susceptible? That I might be lonely, too?
That's hard to believe. After all, you're the man who's helped so many people to find each other. So many lonely hearts are lonely no longer because of you and what you've done.
Yes, I dare say. But that is so, my dear Mrs. Hunter, because I understand loneliness. I understand the hunger for companionship of the opposite sex, from personal experience.
Yes, I can understand that. Of course.
And then your picture fell out of the envelope that fateful morning, and something clicked. I hardly dared believe it. I wrote to you anyway. When you walked in here today, it was as if that picture had come to life. Now I know I shall never be lonely again. Do you understand this, Mrs. Hunter? Do you, Elizabeth? You must. Because from now on, you and I shall never be parted. Never. If I have anything to say about it.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Love Is Not All, starring Ralph Forbes. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Ralph Forbes as Augustus J. Dryden in Love Is Not All. It was a rather shabby building, nothing new or modern. Just another office building with rows of doors along the slightly dank hallways, the gilt lettering tarnished and peeling on the frosted glass of the doors. This door was exactly like the others, except for its rather intriguing announcement in fading gilt. Union of Lonely Hearts, it announced in large letters. In the lower right-hand corner, quite neatly and simply, Augustus J. Dryden, counselor. Inside, the filing cabinets crowded the railing and the desk behind the railing. At that desk, blondined Margot Wells presided and investigated the contents of the day's mail. Short which she was ably assisted by one Muggsy Penfield and her employer, Augustus J. Dryden himself.
For your file, my dear.
Check, boss.
Oh, there is a check in this one, Gus.
Just the usual fee. Pictures, too?
No. Not very interesting.
There's a request here from Dallas, boss.
I'll handle that later.
Oh, no.
There's something amusing, my dear?
Get this. You may assure any woman who becomes at all interested in me that I am well able to take care of her now and will leave her well provided for in the future. Of course, as my wife, she would have certain responsibilities, as the enclosed photo indicates. But before very long, they will all be ready to take care of themselves. So look. Just look, count them. 9. 9 of all sizes.
And the man says he's lonely.
He's probably got nobody to talk to, except the 9 brats. You want him, Margot?
Are you kidding? What'll I do, file him in the wastebasket?
Check enclosed?
10, the registration fee.
Oh, regular procedure.
But nobody will ever marry him.
File him. Reply with Form 1. In a month, request the second fee. This is business, Marlowe.
Are we using the mails to defraud again?
Hardly, my dear. After all, we file him in good faith. His 9 offspring are hardly our responsibility.
All right, Gus, you're the boss.
St. Louis has a request, referral and some jewelry. Also, a couple of minks, one of those coat check jobs.
Muggsy, we don't discuss that side of our business in the front office, remember?
Oh, sorry, boss. See you in the back later, huh? Oh, and here's Bar Harbor.
That one again.
Same character.
Burn the letter. We never received it. It's stuff it's altogether too easily traced.
Check, boss.
Not bad, this one, for her age. What's your guess, Gus?
Nice-looking woman. Only touch snapshot, too. I'd say about 40.
Hey, that's the dangerous age.
Dangerous? For whom? Any money, Margot?
Registration fee. Here's the letter.
The paper. Heavy. Engraved letterhead. Mrs. Elizabeth Hunter. 5022 East Green Street. Good address.
What'd she say, boss? What'd she say?
You may think it strange. A woman in my obvious circumstances. Interested in meeting new people. Lack of companionship. Some well-educated gentlemen. Am I well-educated, Margot?
In what way?
Well, I've been to college. Upriver, that is.
You learn plenty there.
Hardly a subject for small talk.
Hey, are you thinking of fooling around with this yourself?
And why not?
Because you got more important things to do, boss.
More important than a woman of obvious means, house on Green Street. Not bad to look at. Muggsy, you never had much vision.
Yeah, I don't need vision to see trouble coming.
Nonsense. Why, with her money, we might expand this business. Margot, take a letter. My dear Mrs. Hunter, letters from ladies of your caliber are, of course, quite rare in our correspondence. We do have in our files the applications of a few, very few gentlemen of equal standing. This fact requires an abnormal procedure on the part of our agency. If you would be kind enough to call for an appointment, I shall be most honored to give you my personal attention. Yours very truly, etc., etc. Put that in the mail, Margot, my dear, and we shall see what we shall see.
I beg your pardon, miss. Yes, ma'am? This is the office of Augustus J. Dryden. Of the Union of Lonely Hearts? Yes, it is. May I help you? I have an appointment. My name is Hunter, Elizabeth Hunter. Oh, of course. One moment, please.
Yes, Margot?
Mr. Dryden, Mrs. Hunter is here. Mrs. Elizabeth Hunter.
Yes, is she? Right on time, darling. Send her in. No, wait. I'll be right out.
Oh, yes, sir. Of course. Mr. Dryden will be right with you.
Mrs. Hunter, please, won't you come in? This is a pleasure. Real pleasure.
Why, yes, of course.
Oh, this way, please. Miss Wells, I am not to be disturbed.
Yes, Mr. Dryden, of course. Not to be disturbed.
Sit down, my dear Mrs. Hunter. Please, sit down.
Thank you.
No, not there. In this chair.
Oh.
Where I can see you better and you can see me.
Well, thank you again.
A cigarette?
No, thank you. Mr. Dryden, this is the first time in my life I've ever done anything like this.
Well, that hardly makes it wrong. Thousands, literally thousands of people come to me for counsel. You saw the file cabinets in the outer office. There are more in yonder closet. Surely we have the blessing of hundreds, if not thousands, of happy people in our work.
You seem to believe in your work, Mr. Dryden.
I believe in people.
And in yourself, too, perhaps, a little.
I have had great confidence in myself until a few moments ago.
I don't quite follow you, Mr. Dryden.
Until the moment I stood in that doorway and saw you.
Until you saw me.
And then I knew what I had suspected for some days. That this is now the old story of Dr. Cure thyself.
Mr. Dryden.
Why should you be surprised? Surely you ought not to be shocked. After all, you and I are both mature. We are, shall we say, a man and a woman of the world. We know that stranger things have happened than a man sees a woman in a setting in which he obviously does not belong and knows immediately that he has, as the youngsters say, fallen hard.
You? Yourself? Oh, really now, Mr. Dryden?
Why not, Mrs. Hunter? Don't you believe I'm susceptible?
That is hard to believe. After all, you're the man who has helped so many people find each other. So many lonely hearts are lonely no longer because of you and what you've done.
Yes, I dare say. But this is so, my dear Mrs. Hunter, because I understand loneliness. I understand the hunger for companionship of the opposite sex from a personal experience.
Yes, I can understand that, of course.
And then your picture fell out of the envelope that fateful morning. Something clicked. I hardly dared believe it. I wrote to you anyway. When you walked in here today, it was as if that picture had come to life. Now I know that I shall never be lonely again. Do you understand this, Mrs. Hunter? Do you, Elizabeth? You must. Because from now on, you and I shall never be parted. Never. If I have anything to say about it. long is it that we've been seeing each other, Elizabeth?
A month, 6 weeks, 2 months. I don't remember. I don't much care. It's like the music in this place. Like a dream. Is that why you take me here so often, Augustus?
Perhaps. So you dream, Elizabeth?
Of course. And sometimes, as now, it's difficult to tell reality from a dream.
You're quite beautiful tonight, my dear. You take me toward a dream world, too.
Do you dream, Augustus? Do you have a dream?
Do I? Yes. As a matter of fact, I believe I do.
Tell me.
It's far away now.
No, tell me.
It isn't a very large a dream.
I don't care. I want to know.
You might say it's just the expansion of the work which brought us together.
But you reach out now, all over the country. You've shown me your files.
I know. Still, this is only by letter. Think what it would mean, Elizabeth, if there were districts and even local offices of the Union of Lonely Hearts. What places where people could meet face to face, almost at once. Discreet, nice places. Think of the mistakes that could be avoided.
Clubs of lonely people who wouldn't be lonely anymore.
Exactly, my dear, exactly.
Oh, it's a wonderful idea. Why don't you do it, Augustus?
If I told you why, it would bring the practical world into our dreams.
I see. You mean money? How much, Augustus? 10, 20,000?
At least 10. Perhaps as much as 20.
Would you let me be your partner? Your silent partner, Augustus? I feel your union brought us together. That I owe it to fate to help others in the same way. Please, Augustus, let me help.
Margot. I've got her. She's coming across. We're in business.
Sounds great, boss.
Well, from the looks of that new suit, Gus, it's going to be quite a business.
Yeah. My dear children, it's a cinch. A lead-pipe cinch. From now on, or shortly hereafter, the fences are going to work for us instead of our working for them.
Huh?
I don't get it. Right now, we service them with a good word where the markets are for the hot merchandise. Okay. You get 5% on a sale. Where do we go from there?
Yeah, it's a good racket. The front even pays off. And those $10 sucker checks from the Lonely Hearts. Yuck.
No vision, as I've said before. No vision.
Okay, dream boy. What's the nightmare?
Suppose we set up a deal in every big city, or most of the big cities for a starter, where we took the goods off the hands of the fences and sold them in the markets we know about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
No more middlemen with information. Give me 2 years. I'll be the master fence, as the tabloids would say, in the whole country.
I begin to see.
Yeah, but you gotta have capital to start with.
I have it, children. I have it. Mama came through last night. Up to 20 grand. Only she thinks it's for setting up this Lonely Hearts routine across the country.
We are in business.
So this is love.
Maybe Margot might say. But to get along in this world, remember, love is not all. No, indeed. Love is not all.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Love Is Not All. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Ralph Forbes as Augustus J. Dryden in Love Is Not All. Elizabeth Hunter's money started the racket rolling for Gus Dryden and his cohorts. It took a little time, of course, and a fair amount of traveling on the part of Gus and Muggsy. But by dint of some silver-tongued persuasion and the occasional use of force, the business of disposing of stolen goods behind the facade of the Union of Lonely Hearts soon began to show a profit.
Where do you want to go tonight, Augustus?
Well, do you really want to go out, my dear?
Whatever you say.
I thought we might stay here tonight. We haven't had an evening alone in some time. I miss them.
Do you? Really? Do you know, Augustus, I should never have invested that money with you. Since then, well, look back. We've slowly drawn farther and farther apart.
You only think so, Elizabeth. Because I've been devoting so much of my time to protecting your investment.
I see. So that's what you've been doing.
More, my dear. I've been earning money for you. Here, Elizabeth, my sweet.
What?
Your first dividend. 5%. $1,000.
Well, this is a surprise.
Why should it surprise you? You're my backer. You receive dividends.
It might be nice to know what our assets are, besides goodwill.
Elizabeth, you're serious. You'd really like a financial statement.
I may be emotional on some subjects, Augustus, but with finances, I try to be businesslike.
Admirable, my dear. Truly admirable.
Oh, Gus, why don't we stop this fencing?
Fencing? How do you mean that, dear?
All this talk about finances. I don't care, really. I want to know if you still feel about me the way you said you did that first day in your office.
Of course I do, Elizabeth.
Then when will the business be in condition so that you can take a trip with me?
A sort of honeymoon, my dear?
A real honeymoon, darling. South to Cuba, Venezuela, the Caribbean.
You make it sound enchanting, dear. You really do.
When, Augustus?
Well, you said yourself, when the business is on its feet.
And it isn't now with a 5% dividend?
Not where I want it. But the time will come, Elizabeth. Think of the happiness we have given us this far. Isn't that worth postponing our own for a time? Isn't it, my dear? Margot, take a letter.
Yes, sir.
All right. My dear Elizabeth, herewith enclosed, please find your third quarterly dividend. The business is progressing rapidly, and the strides we are making seem to indicate an early return of your original capital and continued dividends. I hope to see you soon. As ever, Augustus. Well, that ought to hold her for a month or two.
Well, I hope so. She's been rather nasty on the phone. She insists you're in town, not out, like I keep telling her.
Augustus, I've called 12 times in 2 days. This girl has been telling me that you're out of town. Augustus, I want her fired at once. She lies.
But I have been out of town, my dear. Until a few moments ago. And Margot will bear me out in that.
Well, that's true, Mrs. Hunter.
It's not true. I know. I saw you come in early this morning.
Elizabeth, you've been spying.
Augustus, a woman will do many things to save her pride.
I see. And you feel that I'm destroying your pride?
I think you've taken me, Augustus. I don't like the feeling of that.
You've been receiving dividends regularly? Large ones?
I don't care about the financial side of our dealings, Augustus. But you used emotion to get me into business with you. That's nasty.
Look out, boy. There she blows.
That's a hard word, Elizabeth.
For a hard fact. You never had any intention of marrying me. Your talk of love and maturity was just that. Talk.
Really, my dear, this is childish. And in front of Miss Wells.
I leave, if you'll permit.
No, stay. You probably know all about everything, with details. Augustus, I'm pulling out.
I'm dreadfully sorry you're taking things this way.
You'll be more sorry in a moment. I've learned the hard way, Augustus. Now I'm being hard. I want the balance of my capital with you, some $17,000. I want it now.
Surely, Elizabeth, you don't expect me to have that much cash in the office.
I'll take a check. You can come to the bank and have it certified for me.
Well, the firm's balance is not large. You know, the furniture for the club in Frisco, advertising in Denver.
Augustus, once I thought you were a fascinating rascal. Now I think there's something dirty about you. You'll hear from me, Augustus, and you won't like what you'll hear. Ah, phew.
You needn't do that letter, Margot.
Trouble, Gus.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it. Once she cools down...
I don't think she will. That kind of woman...
is like every other woman. You're all ashamed to be shown up at suckers. You hate to admit that you're taken. The last thing in the world you want to admit in public is that that love is not all. She won't make trouble, Marlowe, not on your life. Now, come back here, my beautiful. We have more important things to talk about.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
May I see the counselor, please? Mr. Dryden, I mean.
Can I help you?
Well, no, it's a delicate matter.
Mr. Dryden is in conference with Mr. Penfield, but I'll see.
Yes, baby.
Mr. Connell is here to see you, Mr. Dryden. I told him you were in conference.
Well, can't he wait till I'm through with Muggsy? That last haul of hot silver, what a take.
Can you wait a few minutes, Mr. Connell?
Well, I'm rather in a hurry. My problem won't take long.
Mr. Dryden, Mr. Connell is rather in a hurry.
All right, I'll be out.
He'll be right with you, Mr. Connell.
Thank you.
Margot, Miss Wells, is this Mr. Connell?
Yes, sir, Mr. Dryden.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Connell? My associate, Mr. Penfield.
How are you? I'm fine. One moment, please. All right, Mrs. Hunter, come in, please. Are these the three of them?
Hey, what gives?
May I inquire what this is all about, Mr. Connell?
Yes, Sergeant. The Wells woman, Penfield, and Mr. Dryden himself.
Sergeant? Yes, Sergeant Connell, fraud squad. With 2 warrants, Dryden. One for your arrest, and the other to search the place.
Well, this is ridiculous. In the first place, I never saw this woman before in my life. In the second place, I'd like to know what the charge is.
Simple fraud. For now, after we've examined the files, it'll probably be using the mails to defraud. Federal.
Well, this is preposterous. What could I have defrauded this person of?
Besides my self-respect, Mr. Dryden, nearly $10 for which I have the canceled check. $10 paid to you for the purpose of obtaining introductions to people with whom I might be friends. And since you failed to perform that service, you defrauded me. Isn't that right, Sergeant?
Exactly right, ma'am. Now, I'll just have a look at those files.
And there are some more in the closet in the other office.
Well, perhaps I'll look at those first.
I deny everything, and I deny you the right to my private files.
Warrant here, Dryden.
I'm getting out of here. Margot, let's scram.
That's your life.
You stay where you are. Weiner, Matson, on the door, men. Now, those other files, Dryden.
I'll sue for false arrest. I'll have you broken, Colonel.
Out of my way. Out of my way, I said. All right, that the closet, Mrs. Hunter?
Yes, that's it.
I warn you. Save it, Dryden.
Now, Sergeant, isn't there some way we can talk this over?
Don't call, Gus. Spare me that, at least. Don't call.
Well. Mrs. Hunter, you've unearthed something here. This man runs, well, it looks like a nationwide network of fences to dispose of stolen goods behind his Lonely Hearts front. This is far bigger than we thought.
So that's what you used my money for?
Look here, Sergeant. Don't be a fool. Just because there's a woman here is... Well, I still think we can talk it over.
Yes, you can talk it over. With a judge and jury. You better call your mouthpiece, Dryden. From the looks of this file, get going now. We're all heading downtown.
Crime does not pay.
Ralph Forbes, who starred as Augustus Dryden in Love Is Not All, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Ralph Forbes.
On the surface, Gus Dryden was a rather likable rascal, I suppose. But when you take the point of view that he used the hopes and dreams of everyday men and women to cloak his more nefarious enterprises, and then compounded the felony by preying on and destroying those dreams, he ceases to seem likable and shows up in his proper light as a rather despicable kind of man who received exactly what he deserved. And there should be pity for the gullible, lonely people who paid in money and heartache. The cost to them was not small. Always, for all concerned, the victim as well as the criminal, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Forbes. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Garth. Technical consultant is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
By transcription, the National Broadcasting Company presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the Kleptomaniac clues.
Going on a little trip, Mr. Trafford?
What the?
I wanted to see you before you left Frisco.
Hey, who are you? And how did you get into my hotel room?
What's the difference?
I'll call the manager and have
Drop that phone, Trafford. That's better.
What is this? What's that gun for? What do you want?
That briefcase you're carrying?
What?
The briefcase. Hand it over and you won't get hurt.
I'll do no such thing.
Hear me, Doc?
You won't get away with this.
Shut up. Sit down in that chair. We'll just tie you up so you won't make no fuss while I'm blowing out of here.
Just why? Why are you doing this? Just why?
For dough. What else? I don't know what's inside this thing, but certain people are willing to pay plenty to find out.
Well, Mitchell, you glad to be back in San Francisco again? Or is that a foolish question?
In view of being met at the boat by you, love, let's say it's a superfluous one.
Darling. Always the appropriate sentiment.
Well, the Orient has its fascination, Elise, but it does not have you.
I hope it was dull, of course.
Oh, business was quite good, but nothing else. And speaking of business, how is our little curio shop with its clocks, knickknacks, and whatnot?
Excellent, darling.
Good.
I'm expecting a rather interesting shipment soon.
Oh? Will that mean another seagoing excursion for me?
It could. Perhaps I'll go with you this time. Would you like that?
I refuse to answer a question like that. Its intent is much too obvious.
Ah, darling. Oh, here we are.
Here you are, driver. Keep the change.
I left Doreen in charge of the shop.
Oh? How is she?
As usual. She handles the carriage trade exceedingly well.
Uh-huh.
At times I think you're a bit too interested in her.
What? Oh, nonsense, Elise. Why, she's hardly more than a child.
Yes, I know that, but do you?
Oh, Miss Conroe, you're back.
Well, hello, Doreen.
How are you, Mr. Monroe? Nice to see you back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. How have you been?
Just fine, thank you. Was your trip successful?
Mm-hmm, very.
I'm glad.
Doreen, were there any messages while I was gone?
No, Miss Pomeroy, but there's a man waiting to see you in your office.
A man?
Mr. O'Mac. A very curious thing happened.
Curious?
Yes, I could have sworn he deliberately put one of our teakwood figures in his pocket.
What?
And as though he realized I'd seen him, he put it back on the display shelf. But perhaps it was a mistake.
Perhaps. Come along to the office, Mitchell. Mr. O'Mac may be a buyer.
Yes, or a seller. See you later, Doreen. That's a lovely girl.
If one likes the type.
All always waiting for somebody. That's me.
I don't like you sitting behind my desk, Omac.
Oh, excuse me. I hope I didn't soil nothing.
You have what you were sent to get?
You mean Mr. Trafford's briefcase?
You know that's what I mean. Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it.
Give it to me.
Not so fast.
Well, what is it?
There's been a change made since I first talked to you.
Change? What do you mean?
The price you're paying, I don't like it.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't. So you'll have to make it fatter.
Tell me, love, where'd you find this cheap highwayman?
Never mind that now. Omac, we agreed on $10,000.
Yeah, well, I need 10 more.
You deceitful pig.
You know how it is. Cost of living going up and all.
I won't hear this kind of street corner conniving.
Okay, suit yourself.
And may I ask just what will happen if you don't get what you want?
The Counterspies would love to get their hands on a little setup you've got here.
What?
You've got till tomorrow to pay my price.
You wouldn't go to the Counterspies.
No? Try me and find out.
David Harding, Counterspy Headquarters, Washington. To San Francisco Field Office. Special directive to Agent Carl Braden. Mr. George Trafford. Proceed on description of man who stole briefcase and on any other information Trafford can supply. I'm leaving by jet immediately. Have correlation of data ready for my inspection upon arrival. End of message. Oh, Miss Johnson, have you contacted Agent Peters in the St. Louis Field Office yet?
He's on the wire now, sir. Line number 3.
Oh, good. Hello, Peters.
How are you, Mr. Harding?
Peters, I'm leaving Washington by jet for San Francisco within the hour. I'm picking you up en route, so gauge your time carefully.
Right, what's up?
No time now. I'll fill you in later.
Okay, Pete. I'll be standing by at the St. Louis airport.
And preparatory to leaving San Francisco, Trafford stopped to rest at a hotel until his train was due to depart for Washington.
I follow most of it up to now, Mr. Harding, but,
What, Peter?
Well, who is Trafford? And just what was in this popular briefcase of his?
Well, Trafford is in no official capacity with the government, Peters. He's merely a private citizen who happens to be an astute industrial organizer.
Sort of an efficiency expert,
Yes, you could call it that.
And the big top secret in that briefcase?
A draft of plans for mobilization of certain key industries. Plans, factory locations, working schedules, objectives, probable results, so forth.
I see.
Which, of course, was intended for the hands and eyes only of the defense coordinator in D.C.
I wonder in whose hands and under what eyes they are now at this very moment.
That's what we've got to find out, Peter. And fast.
Mac, this is Elise Pomeroy.
I was expecting your call.
Quite sure of yourself, aren't you?
Yeah. And I'm even more sure of you.
You still demand 10,000 more?
That's right.
I was thinking of a counter offer. Shall we say 7,500?
You know, I can't hear a word you're saying.
8,000.
I still can't hear you. So long, Miss Pomeroy.
Wait.
My price stands at 20,000. You can't auction with me. 20,000, or like I said, the briefcase goes to the Counterspies.
All right, very well. You shall have your money.
I wasn't worried for a second. Love.
Don't be insolent.
Why not? I can afford it.
I'll have the money for you at 11 o'clock tonight.
Where do I pick it up?
My home. 245 Ridgewood Drive.
Ridgewood Drive. Okay, love. I'll be there.
Here's your drink, monsieur.
Oh, and just right. Thank you, love. To your very good health, Elise.
And to yours.
May you always feel as wonderful as you look.
And may you always be as truthful as you sound.
So much for that. Why did you ask Omac to come here to your house, Elise?
I don't want him seen near the shop again. It's much too risky, darling.
Quite a fellow, isn't he? Or should I say felon?
He's been useful.
Let's see now. Within the short space of 24 hours, he's committed a hold-up, blackmail, and incidentally gave way to a touch of kleptomania. Very impressive.
Kleptomania?
Of course, yesterday in the shop. You heard Doreen describe his attempt to palm a teakwood piece just before we arrived?
Perhaps she made it up.
Oh, come now, my dear. Does it sound so incredible, considering what OMAC is? Besides, why would Doreen make up a thing like that?
I wouldn't know, would you?
No. And, by the way, she knows nothing about business transactions in the Orient, does she?
No. And the less she knows about anything concerning us, the better.
Why, Elise, I would almost think you're jealous of Doreen from your tone of voice.
Would you now?
Yes, but you've no reason to be. Look,
that must be OMAC. I'll let him in. Come in.
Thank you.
Well, say, quite a joint you got here. A little far from town, though, ain't it?
Do you have the briefcase?
You're looking at it. Hi, Jack.
If you're talking to me to begin again, I'll leave Jack out of it this time.
Take it easy, Governor. Just being friendly.
I'll take the briefcase if you don't mind.
First, my payoff if you don't mind.
Just as you say. I'll get it from my desk.
You mind if I have a drink? See, you got a few spread around here.
Take mine if you like. I haven't touched it.
Well, thank you. And believe me, I wouldn't mind if you did. Love.
Now, see here, OMAC.
Disregard him, Mitchell.
Sure, Monroe. Do that. After tonight, you two won't be bothered with me anymore. Well, here's to the end of a beautiful friendship, huh?
Something wrong, OMAC?
This drink.
Now, look at the mess you've made.
You put something in the drink.
Only a drug. A very quick, effective, and deadly poison.
I'll kill you.
A very quick poison, OMAC. Even quicker when you expend energy unnecessarily.
I'll get you.
The end of a beautiful friendship. Exactly as he said.
Elise.
I should have let you in on my little plan, I suppose.
Well, I didn't expect anything like this.
Don't be so shocked, darling. After all, you realize you can't trust a blackmailer. He would have eventually given us away, you know.
You really do mean business, don't you?
Yes, Mitchell, I really do. Now let's get rid of him.
Well, that's about the size of it, Mr. Harding, and I have no idea how he got into that hotel room.
Or who could have sent him, Mr. Trafford?
No, I'm afraid not. My completion of the draft, as well as my trip to the capital, was strictly secret as far as I know.
But you'll be able to identify this man when we pick him up.
Oh, absolutely, Mr. Peters.
Mr. Harding, isn't it possible that he's passed the plans to another party by now?
Yes, more than likely.
Can't a new draft of your survey be substituted?
Oh, yes, certainly. With putting in another 7 or 8 months on relocations and shifting schedules, it's not the happiest situation, I can tell you.
And time's important.
So it's a question of retrieving what we have or substituting a plan which at best will be inferior to the original.
Well, we can't risk the operation of your plan, Mr. Trafford, as long as there's a chance of its being known to unfriendly powers.
Then you've got to get it back to me, sir, before it's somehow shipped out of the country.
We'll try, Mr. Trafford. You can be sure of that. We're going to try every way possible.
Well, hello, Doreen.
Mr. Monroe.
Oh, I didn't expect to find you in Elise's office.
I was just filing some invoices. Miss Pomeroy should be back shortly.
Good. We can wait together, hmm?
Of course, Miss Monroe.
Oh, no. My name is Mitchell.
Miss Pomeroy might not like me to call you that.
Oh, Miss Pomeroy isn't here, and my friends call me by my first name. I consider you a friend.
Do you?
Yes.
I'm glad. I've always been afraid she might misunderstand.
Elise? Oh, not at all. What is there to misunderstand?
Well...
Doreen, do you like me?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I like you, too.
Will you be going away soon?
Yes, I'm afraid so, within a few days.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you?
Yes.
I'll be back, though.
Will you?
Mm-hmm. But until I...
Hope I'm not interrupting anything.
Hello, Elise. I've been waiting for you.
Not expecting me quite so soon.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was getting a bit impatient.
I'm glad you were able to find a way of containing your impatience. Doreen, you better get out front in the shop.
Yes, Miss Barbara.
Before you go, Doreen.
Yes?
I want you to remember something.
What is it?
This. Now, go about your business. And remember that.
I'll be sure to remember it, Miss Pomeroy.
Why did you do that?
You know, without being told, so we won't discuss it.
For heaven's sake, at least behave sensibly.
Be quiet. You and your affairs are unimportant at the moment. I've had the plan we stole from Trafford microfilmed. You leave with it on the first boat out of San Francisco for Hong Kong.
When is that?
Tomorrow night.
Are you coming along with me?
No. Because everything we do from now on will be done on a strictly business basis.
Really?
Yes. So mind your step, lover. You know the way I do business.
You are listening to the case of the Kleptomaniac Clues on Counterspy. There's a big evening's entertainment with the Chimes today and every Sunday over most of these same NBC stations. The big show brings you 90 minutes of the very best in comedy, music, and drama with Tallulah, the distaff dynamo, and the leading personalities of show business. The Phil Harris-Alice Faye Show means 30 mad and delightful minutes with the unconventional Harrises and their friends. Hedda Hopper brings you dramatized stories of Broadway and Hollywood. Tales of the Texas Rangers stars Joe McCrae in an authentic drama from the files of the nation's oldest police force. And genial Jack Parr quizzes a group of courageous contestants on the $64 question. Remember, the Chimes are your invitation. Now, back to Counterspy.
Agent Braden to Harding, San Francisco field office. Braden to Harding.
Harding, go ahead, Braden.
The body of a man fitting description furnished by Mr. Trafford was found on the outskirts of the city. Death by poisoning. Identification, Charles O'Mac. He is now at the city morgue.
All right, no further instructions, Braden.
Yes, Chief.
Pick up Mr. Trafford, Peters, and meet me at the city morgue. A dead man just turned up who may be the one. We'll need Trafford to identify him.
Yes, that's him. That's the man who took my briefcase.
You're certain, Mr. Trafford?
Absolutely.
His driver's license said Charles O'Mac. Does that name mean anything to you?
No, nothing.
They found this in his pocket, Mr. Harding. What's here up here? Teakwood. Little teakwood figure. Odd thing for a guy who was also carrying a 38. Yeah.
Mr. Harding, will you need me any further?
Oh, not at the moment, Mr. Trafford.
Then I'll leave if you don't mind. I don't care for the atmosphere of a morgue very much.
No, nor do we. Come on, Peter.
Any place special, Chief?
Yes. Very special, I think.
I'd like to help you, Mr. Harding, of course, but I don't see how I can.
Well, this man O'Mac was carrying in his pocket a small teakwood figure on the base of which was the name of your shop, Miss Pomeroy.
That's strange, I'll admit, but I'm at a total loss to explain it.
You're quite sure that you've never heard the name Charles O'Mac?
I'm sure I'd remember if I had.
Would you have any record of sale on such an item?
Hardly. It's not a terribly expensive piece. That one sells for $2. And as you can see, I have many more of the same type on display here in my shop.
Yes, I see.
Oh, hello, Mitchell.
Hello, Alice.
This is my business associate, Mr. Monroe. Mitchell, this is Mr. Harding and Mr. Peters of the United States Counterspies.
Gentlemen, how do you do? How are you?
They seem to think that we might have information concerning a man named O'Mac who was killed recently.
O'Mac? Ever hear the name, Mr. Monroe? No, I don't believe I have. Well, we'll bother you no further at the moment. Should anything of importance occur to you, you'll contact us, of course.
Of course.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
That dame is quite a number, huh, Chief?
Maybe a wrong number. Get a stakeout on this shop, Peters.
You think they're lying?
That's what we've got to find out, for sure. Harding speaking.
Mr. Harding, this is Doreen Bridgeton.
Yes?
I work in Miss Pomeroy's shop. I was there this afternoon when you were questioning her.
Go on.
I remained out of sight, but I could hear everything that was said.
I see. Go ahead, Miss Bridgeton.
She lied to you. She did know a man named O'Mac. He was in the shop the day before yesterday.
Will you swear to that in court? Should we call upon you?
I'll be happy to, Mr. Harding. Most happy to.
Well, where can you be reached? Hello? Hello? Yes?
Peters, I'm fine, Mr. Harding.
Thank you. Go ahead, Peters.
Dave, I have that stakeout on the curio shop, and I personally tailed Monroe.
What did you find out?
He picked up a steamship ticket for the Trigania leaving for Hong Kong tomorrow night. I checked with the clerk.
Any report on the shop itself?
No, not yet. What do we do about Monroe? Stop him?
Yes, but not officially. If he's a decoy and not carrying the papers, I don't want a false arrest charge. That'll tip our hand completely. We've got to stall him without him knowing we've done it.
How?
Well, a call to the Customs Department ought to do the trick. Now, in the meantime, put a surveillance squad on a girl named Doreen Bridgeton. She works for Elise Pomeroy. She may not realize it, but Miss Bridgeton is a sitting duck right this minute. I'll come in, Peter.
Got a check in from Braden, Mr. Harding. Monroe's going to the dock.
Good. I expect a call from Customs on that any minute. Now, you have a man watching Doreen Bridgeton's apartment, huh?
Since last night.
Good. Oh, this is it.
We hope.
Harding. Yes. Oh, fine. Fine. No, nothing else. And thank you very much. All right. Goodbye.
What's he?
The customs people wound Mr. Monroe in red tape, the details of which I'll spare you, and revoked his passport temporarily.
Which means he won't sail tonight.
Or any other night. Now, we've got to move fast. First, we'll have the Bridgeton girl picked up. We'll need her later. Then we'll see what the deluxe quarters aboard a luxury liner look like, Peters.
Hey, I like that part.
Don't pack, though. We're traveling light.
Mitchell!
Hello, Elise.
What are you doing here? Why aren't you aboard ship?
It seems the best laid schemes of mice and men.
Will you make sense?
All right, my passport's been revoked. I can't sail.
What?
I think I speak distinctly.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Some sort of a mix-up on dates.
Oh, you are an idiot. This changes everything. Give me your ticket.
Huh? Ticket?
You still have that, don't you?
Yes.
Well, give it to me.
All right. Well, what are you going to do?
I have an hour and a half to make the boat. I'll sail in your place. Where's the microfilm?
My wristwatch case.
Well, give it to me.
Here, take it.
I've got to rush. At least my passport's in order.
Now, listen, you can't leave me here holding the bag, my sweet. I won't take
Oh,
it.
do be still. You're such a bore.
Bore, is it? We'll see how boring I am. Hello, operator. I'd like you to put me through to the United States Counterspies. Yes, please, and hurry. Counterspy field office. My name is Mitchell Monroe. We should be at the dock in a few minutes, Mr. Harding. Hope our suspect doesn't miss the boat.
We'll ask the captain to postpone sailing time if necessary. But I don't think it will be.
Agent Braden to David Harding in control car S1.
Harding, come in, Braden.
Mitchell Monroe was shot and killed about 15 minutes ago while attempting to call our field office from a pay station.
How did you take it that quickly, Braden?
The receiver was off the hook. We got a police report on it within a few minutes after.
All right, Braden, no instructions.
Little Elise is going to have plenty to answer for, Chief.
Let's get to that boat, Peters. Step on it. What time is it, Peter?
20 minutes to midnight and the sailing time, too. I wish something would break, Chief.
It will. Don't worry.
I'm getting a little too accustomed to the grandeur of this deck cabin. Kind of tempts me to chuck everything and go for a little cruise myself.
Well, Miss Pomeroy.
Mr. Harding.
Come in, Miss Pomeroy.
What are you doing here?
We asked the same of you.
Just how dare you ask me anything? What right have you to be in my cabin?
We thought it was Mr. Monroe's cabin. It's in his name.
What of it?
He had passport trouble. But nothing that wouldn't clear up in a day or so. He'd have been able to sail. It must be urgent business that prompts you to so hurriedly take his place.
I want you to leave immediately.
When we leave, lady, you're leaving with us.
On what charge?
Treason for one.
Murder for another.
Ridiculous.
I think we'll be able to make it stick, Miss Pomeroy. I'm sure that a thorough search of your belongings will reveal the presence of certain top-secret plans for wartime mobilization of industry in this country.
You're mad.
Probably on microfilm. And added to that, we have the eyewitness testimony of Doreen Bridgeton that you knew Charles O'Mac, knew him well.
He's lying. He's trying to get even for a personal difference.
You know Mitchell Monroe is dead?
What?
Murdered?
No. No, I didn't know.
You're almost convincing. He's probably telling the truth, Peters. I don't think he'd have had time to kill Monroe.
If you're going to arrest me, then do so, and let's get off this boat.
Not so fast, Miss Pomeroy. There's more where you came from, so let's just wait here for a few minutes and see who it is.
What do you mean?
I'm sure you know exactly what I mean.
Elise, do you...
Well, come in, Mr. Travers.
What the... Hey, what is it, Harding?
Don't you know?
Oh, I certainly don't.
Then I'll tell you. You had yourself robbed of your own plans.
Robbed? What are you talking...
O'Mac didn't know you. Miss Pomeroy did the hiring and carefully pointed you out. A perfect way of deflecting any and all suspicion from yourself.
Why, that's absolutely ridiculous.
You had a neat setup for an espionage agent, Trafford. You enjoyed the confidence of high government officials while you were planning to transmit your industrialization plans to an unfriendly power.
You don't know what you're saying. Neither one of you do.
But you made one small slip. According to the desk clerk of the hotel here in San Francisco, it was 2 o'clock when you checked in.
I won't listen to this.
You'd better listen, Trafford, and close, because the United States Attorney is going to ask you questions later.
When you arrived at the hotel, there was a southbound train leaving San Francisco at that very moment. So there was no reason for you to have been anywhere but on that train. No reason but your own personal one.
Harding, you're making a grave error.
The error is all yours, Trafford, for showing up here in Miss Pomeroy's cabin.
What's the angle for your coming, Trafford? Skipping? Or just to give her some last-minute instructions?
It couldn't have concerned the microfilm plans. You have your own copies, I'm sure.
Don't move, any of you.
Is that the gun that killed Monroe? A ballistics test should tell.
There won't be any test.
I don't know about that. My agents have the dock area completely surrounded. They let you in, but they're sure not to let you out, except with me.
I'm willing to run the risk. Now stay right where you are.
Don't leave me, George.
Sorry, Elise. I have to travel light now. I'm sorry.
You're no good.
Come on, Peter. There he is, Steve. Stop or I'll shoot, Trafford. He's headed for the rail. Stop, Trafford. Stop or we'll fire. Let him have it. He's falling overboard.
He's finished, Chief.
Yes, but Miss Pomeroy isn't. Not yet. She'll stand trial and pay the penalty all traitors eventually pay.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Captured Contact.
When a famous lecturer canceled his tour, a solicitous friend canceled his life by murder. How a weak eye and a strong arm led your counterspies into a most intriguing adventure will be unfolded next week in
Case of the Captured Contact on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Edward J. Adamson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production. The preceding transcribed. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC.